Hello and welcome back to the world's most god-awful podcast. I'm Nobody That Matters, and this is my co-host Dakota.
Apparently, I matter.
Yeah, you matter more than me at this rate, white man.
Yeah, oh, you beat me to it.
uh,
Oh,
it's okay. You're half Native American, so you get the no privilege card. It's all right.
I don't get anything else. I just lack the privilege. It's a lose-lose for me. I have no benefits.
Yeah, you get the land taken, but you don't get to keep it either.
I get alcoholism.
Crippling alcoholism, no land. You sound like the Irish right now.
They get potatoes out of it at least.
I mean, well, you guys got corn. Well, what's
Yeah,
a
I
more
guess.
versatile food? Corn or wait, potatoes?
Well, they said that you can like survive forever off potatoes and butter because it has like all the required nutrients. Corn
Yeah.
is just a starch.
Yeah, I guess corn isn't that diverse. I know you can like make bread with it, but it's not really that good of a bread, is it?
I mean, unironically, corn's my favorite vegetable, but like
Mhm.
it has no nutritional value to it whatsoever.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. Like corn doesn't even carry any vitamins.
I don't think so. I think it's just carbohydrates.
That's
It's like
so
eating
odd.
bread constantly. Ground bread.
That's so odd. I never really thought about that until just now. That like, oh yeah, corn is just empty. It's just empty space. Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's just like starch and water, my guy. It's really not really that healthy at all.
Jesus Christ. I guess the Irish lucked out on that one, huh?
Yeah, they chose the right thing to have a famine over, I guess.
You guys just got genocided. That's unfortunate for you.
Yes.
So what are we talking about today, Dakota? Because I really have nothing, because nothing eventful has happened at all this past week.
Um, Ghost of Tsushima or Tsushima. Pronounce
Sushi
correctly.
Mother.
Yeah.
The ghost of Sushi's mother.
Yeah, that came out. I think came out. I don't know when it came out, but it's new and it's here.
Yeah, I don't remember if it came out at the beginning of this week or like in the middle of last week, but I'm gonna be honest, I haven't seen much about it, but I've seen something. Like I've seen a bit of gameplay, I've seen a lot of the art. The artwork and stuff looks cool because like almost all of like ancient feudal Japan shit looks cool. But the only thing I saw was something my friend sent me, and this is a question I just want to ask right out the gate. The tweet basically said Ghost of Tsushima is better than God of War. And so I want to ask you, is it better than God of War? Because I know you love God of War and I love God of War. But like in your opinion, being a huge God of War fan and liking Ghost of Tsushima, is it better?
It's well, that's a difficult question. It's very similar in terms of like raw gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Like the AI companions that you have along the way, they're pretty much all just exactly like the kid from God of War. Like there's always
Atreus. His name
yeah
is Atreus
yeah they're all
or
just well,
Loki.
yeah I call him Loki. They're all just him because the most of them are archers and just like harass the enemy NPCs while you're going around cutting them into pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do have swords too, and like what's funny is like the YouTubers that I watch, 'cause I don't own the game because I'm too poor for that. Certain missions and whatever, you get like NPC soldiers that'll follow you around and stuff like that, and they'll kill people with you. And I found that like at least the YouTubers that I've watched play the game, like the NPCs will kill the enemies faster than you can. So you'll like kill people, and then you'll see another enemy, and you'll run up to them, but like by the time you get to them, they're already dead. And you're like, bro, take my kill, come on.
Jesus Christ.
But it is really good. It is. I don't know how accurate it is in terms of like the act, because it's okay. So the company, right, Sucker Punch, they went from
Mm-hmm.
making the last game was
Aren't they the Ratchet and Clank guys? Is Sucker Punch the Ratchet and Clank guys? Or am I thinking of a different company?
that could be them.
I'll look it
They
up
made a
real
game
quick.
before this, and it was like super different. And they moved and they wanted to do a samurai game, and they wanted it to be like historically accurate, whatever. So they went to like cultural.
They're
Uh,
the guys who made Infamous and Sly
yes,
Cooper.
Infamous. Yes. So they went Infamous 2, Second Son, which is also really good game.
Yeah,
And then they were
that's
like,
way
oh
more of a like a platforming game.
Yeah, it's platforming like superhero sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like we want to make a historical game, or make a samurai game. So I went to these dudes in Japan. It's like they sent their team over to get photos of this island called Tsushima in Japan, and they got like cultural experts and stuff to come in and tell them about it. And they were trying to figure out like where to set it and everything, who to talk to, like tell the story about. And I guess they found the story of the Ghost of Tsushima, who was an actual soldier during the first Mongol invasion of Japan.
Mm.
Now, I want to point out there were several Mongol invasions of Japan across feudal history, and they could only make a game about one of them because every other time the Mongols tried it, a storm would sink their fleet halfway through.
Is that true?
Yes, it happened like 2 or 3 times. It's pretty funny.
So God was just like, "Oh shit, I let you pass one time, not again."
Yeah, yeah. So what's funny about that is that in the game, right, you play as Jin Sakai, who is a samurai lord. He's the last of his clan of samurai, and you end up the Mongols invade. You end up meeting them at the beaches, and all the samurai on the island of Tsushima get their butts whipped by the Mongols because everybody gets their butts whipped by the Mongols because Mongols are ridiculous. So you end up surviving because a thief loots your body and takes you into her house off the battlefield and sells your sword to a farmer for money. So you wake up and you're like, "Yo, where's my sword, woman?" And she's like, "I sold it to this dude for some rice." And you're like, "Bro, the Mongols are burning this town down. What do you mean you give it to a dude for rice?" She's like, "Here, follow me." So she trains you to be a thief, essentially a ninja. And you're like, "But I'm a samurai, so I have to like follow the samurai code, and I can't like hide in the shadows." And by the end of the game, you become essentially a ninja. And big part of the game is like you're fighting with your samurai code, and you're like, "Oh, but I have to do these things that break the code in order to kill the Mongols," sort of deal. And what's really cool is in the game, the more you sneak around, the more stormy the weather becomes, and the more samurai-like you become, the more clear the skies become and stuff like that. Another really cool thing in the game, a really really cool thing. Instead of having like waypoints or like how games will put like the weird glowing markers in the roads.
It's like a bird or some shit, right? It's like the bird in the wind like guides you to different points.
So birds lead you to different types of things. Mostly lead you to shrines that give you like charms or just like stat boosts, or they lead you to haiku points where you get to make your own haiku, and you get a headband after the haiku.
It's going on Mount Fuji.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. That's a great reference. Nobody will get, but it's a good reference. That's a great reference.
Let's not explain it whatsoever. Let's not explain it whatsoever.
Okay, moving on.
People will get it.
You can also follow foxes, the fox dens, and if you pray at the fox shrines, you get resolve. And basically, like rather than like healing items, when you take damage, you have these things called resolve points. And resolve is like, as a samurai, you're trained that just shrug off pain, and you heal by spending resolve to just kind of like shrug off your pain and you gain health.
Oh, so it's kind of like the Spider-Man game where you have like the focus meter and shit, and then you spend your focus in order to do it. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, sort of like that. And what's cool is like when you spend resolve to heal, rather than like your character's wounds healing, you still stay bloody and stuff. You still look like horribly gory, but your character's like smacks stuff in the chest and like grunt and stuff and like buff himself up, hype himself up. But yeah, the wind is a primary waypoint system. Like how you get to point A from point B is via the wind direction, and it makes the game look really beautiful. All the tall grass and trees and the leaves, all the stuff, they move around. If you run through a pile of leaves, the leaves move. A lot of the set pieces for like duels happen under big trees. The leaves cover the ground, and as the two people are running around, swinging their swords, the wind of their swords will kick the leaves up, and it looks super pretty. It's a really beautiful game.
That's one thing that I love about Japanese like entertainment is just like how they mix perfectly with like gory violence and like the beauty of Japan. Like watching Kill Bill and like seeing like the beautiful shit that like happens, but then at the same time you're watching like somebody's throat get sliced open. It's like, oh wow, this is great. This is really pretty, but it's also horribly depressing watching people die like.
Yeah, so the game is based off of like Seven Samurai, like those kinds of movies. So like,
Mm.
for example, every duel begins with like this, almost Old West style, like, like the eye shot, where they like squint at each other sort of
Oh
deal.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they did that thing
Like
where
the
like
whole
they,
like black bars drop down, and you only see the
yeah,
eyes and the light.
it's sort of like that. You know how like in anime whatever, they show their swords, they draw their swords, like they flick the hilt like
Oh
a
yeah,
little
with
bit.
their thumbs and shit.
Yeah. They do that and stuff, and it's really atmospheric and super cool. And there are you can learn mythic abilities that do different stuff and different stances to get different types of enemies. And one of my favorite things is the ghost stance, which is the final one you get, and it's like it's basically like Spartan Rage, when you get at the end of the game instead of like you in Act 3, instead of like Act 1 like you do in God of War, where it's basically you after you kill, I think it's 7 enemies without taking any damage. You can kill 3 people for free, no matter who they are. You can one-shot enemies. And
Jesus.
when you enter this stance, the screen goes black and white, except for the blood of enemies. So you go through and it's like cutting people down, and it's super epic, and the sound cuts out, and makes all weird. And it's like the first time you do it is super super epic because it terrifies enemies. So they'll run from you, is running after them, butchering them, and it's like it's like an old Japanese like samurai movie, and I love it to death. It's just a great game. The aesthetic is very nice.
Okay, so now I have to ask the ultimate question. Story-wise, because I know you love the gameplay. Story-wise, is it as good as God of War, or better, or worse?
I don't know if it's better, only because God of War had a really really interesting spin on the mythology that it's based off of, like all God of War games do. Ghost of Tsushima is very realistic. There's no there's like there are hints at paranormality, like the wind is the spirit of your deceased father guiding you to where you need to go and stuff like that. So like there are hints of it to explain gameplay mechanics, but
Yeah, but that like especially with Japanese culture, like that could
yeah,
literally just be like,
anything.
oh, it's the spirits, but you could also be like, it's just the wind, just go with it.
Yeah, well, like in one of the missions, you are tasked with hunting down this quote-unquote spirit of vengeance in one of these provinces of this island,
The
right?
Ghost Riders? What?
Yeah, pretty much. So you're like, oh, the spirit of vengeance, and these people are leaving notes for this spirit, and he's killing people, basically. And you find a note saying, oh, Jin Sakai works for the samurai, the shogun, kill him. And you're like, oh, I'm Jin Sakai. Somebody wants me dead. So you're like, well, the note says for the spirit to draw me to this place called the Garden of the Gods. So I'm gonna go there. Which I mean, whatever. So you go there. So the whole thing is like this whole mission is like, oh, is this spirit legit, or is this a dude going around reading these notes and killing people for him? And you do eventually find out that the last member of this exiled samurai clan is going around reading these notes and killing people for these townspeople. And you fight and you duel the person, you kill them and stuff like that. And there are that other parts like the mythic tales where you go to a bard and they tell you this story, but it's like super cool folktale legend, and they're like, oh, and also this like super cool dude blessed by the demons, like his sword arm never gets tired and he can't be killed, all this stuff, and his armor is to reside in X place under X rock, and you're like, cool, I'm gonna go there and take his stuff. So you go there and you fight the person, or the person looking for the stuff, and you get the stuff, and they have like a lot of like powerful buffs or whatever, but none of them are like, oh, this sword is blessed by demons. You don't go there and find the demon, you go there and you find a dude in a mask. Like, it isn't, so there are hints at it, but none of it's like God of War magic, where it's like, I have to use this world tree teleporter to get between the realms, and like I'm gonna stab the world serpent in the stomach to make him spit me out or whatever. It's not like that. So story wise, I think it's a Japanese movie, like it's a samurai movie. It's very good, very good. I don't know if it's better than God of War. The world is very interesting, but it's our world pretty much. So like.
Yeah.
As a historian,
it's something that you've like heard a dozen times before. It's not like God of War where it's just like mixing everything and it's just like I've never seen shit like this before.
Yes, yeah. Like as a historian and as somebody who like knows a lot about like feudal Japan and stuff like that, like Asian culture, it I know what to expect. Doesn't mean I don't like it. It's still super, super cool and exciting, whatever. But God
Yeah.
of War was like, it took what I already knew, and then was like, but also there's this stuff, and also this is how we interpret this, and also all this. So in terms
And
of
then it
like the
like
world,
still
it's good.
makes sense in the way it works.
Yes, yes. So in terms of the world, God of War takes the cake. Gameplay, actually, gameplay, I think it might be better. For
It
one
might be
reason, I
better
think.
than God of War.
Yes, for one reason. You know how like a lot of third person uh, fighting games nowadays, they do like the lock on system. Like you face the
Yeah.
enemy, you lock on, and then you can attack that person. Ghost of
Yeah.
Tsushima doesn't do that. It
Mm.
uses the old Batman style combat system, where
Oh,
like
where it just swaps randomly?
well, it's not quite as random as this. It's been a refined version, but just like whatever direction you're moving and looking in is the direction is the person you will attack. So less
Oh.
of like oh, you lock on. And there's like a glowing bead in the air that you can see. It's more of like it's more fluid and
So
you can
it's like
move back and
For
forth.
Honor where but less dog shit.
Yes, yes. For Honor was awful. But yeah, this is like a better version of that, and I think that's probably one of the things that it does better. It does AI companions better because it isn't the same person the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a whole cast of characters that like get swapped out for companions back and forth. They're all different people, their own different beliefs, and they're all different stuff, and they all do different things. There's some really interesting characters because of course like God of War, Kratos is a pre-established character, so you pretty much know who he's gonna face off against each. Like you can like, oh, this is a Norse game, probably gonna fight, Thor, Odin, different people like that, gonna find, Mimir, all that stuff, because they're big names like Loki, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like with this, the cast of characters, the character is established in the world, but the player isn't familiar with that world. So as Lord Saka, you're going around meeting his friends and family and people from his past, and he's like, "Oh, I know you from X place," and you're like, "Ah, this person is this person, but I don't know who they are." Like you
Mm-hmm.
get to still learn. You can't predict the story as easily. Even as a writer, I couldn't always like to a degree I can predict some of it because it's a game, so there's still going to be some
Yeah.
parts that are done for the
There's
mechanics.
a just a general pathway that games usually follow when it's like an action story game.
Yeah, there's only so much they can do with that to make it interesting game wise and story wise. But in terms of some of it, I could like I knew going into it, I'm like, okay, this is an action, like story driven action adventure game. Gonna be a part where you get captured and have to break out of prison. Gonna be a part where there's a really big battle. Okay, it's gonna be a part where one of your friends gets killed. It's gonna happen. They have to happen. It's just how you make an action adventure game, right? And
Mhm.
I was like, and as I watched more of it, spent the past like 3 or 4 days binge watching this game, and I'm on to Act 3, pretty much. And
You
I've been
haven't gotten
watching
to
it.
the ending yet?
No, 'cause it's like it's a 50-hour game. It's a long
It's
game.
it's 50 hours like God of War. Okay. Wait,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
longer than God of War's main
yeah.
story.
It's a long game.
Jesus
Long
fuck.
game.
God of War's main story is only like 30 hours.
That's a long game.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is a big game, dude. It's really good. Massive map too.
So
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 like,
quick question. So is
yeah,
it also an open world explorative
yes,
thing like God of War? Is
yes.
oh my god.
It's
So
more
that
open
means
world than God of War is.
fucking
Because God of War
there's
had
like
like the different realms or whatever. You had to use a tree to get to. It's all open all the time, pretty.
Jesus Christ. But like God of War has like 30 hours of extra content while having 30 hours of story. So how much like
Yeah.
if you had to guess hours of extra content is there?
Hours of extra content. Well, let's see.
Like
I can.
that's that's like stuff you don't need. Hold on.
Well, okay. So the YouTuber I watch made 50 episodes of this series before he beat the game, and he only did, I would say, like a third or a half of the extra stuff. So you figure that's 30 times 50 is like 1,500. Hold on, is like a couple, is like several hundred hours of. Because okay, I'm gonna get my calculator out.
Oh
Hold
god.
on. All right, so he made 50 episodes. Each is about a half an hour long, right?
Uh-huh.
That's 1.5 thousand minutes of playtime. That's purely story, a little bit of side stuff, but I'd say 3/4 of it is story, right? So if I divide
Hmm.
that by 60 to get the hours, that's 25 hours of gameplay. That's pretty much entirely story. So I think if you were to platinum the game, it'd probably be like 60 hours. It'd probably be equivalent to God of War because it's a bit like a Far Cry game where like there are outposts you can take over, and on top of like other stuff.
Hmm.
Like some of the quests, like some of the other side quests, tie into the outpost and they overlap and stuff like that. And it's very well done. I think for a very simple formula, um, and I'm binge watching the game for like 3 4 days straight. There was one moment where I was like, I'm kind of getting bored of the gameplay cycle, and I watched like a other video, and I'm like, nah, I gotta go back. So I got bored for a whole 45 minutes, and then I was like, oh, no, I just gotta come back to this game. It's so good. And I
Jesus
think
Christ! I guess
yeah,
I gotta start watching it now because I haven't watched anything about the game. I've
you
seen
have
maybe
to.
like 5 minutes of content because I was like one of the channels I watch uploaded something about it because it was a sponsored gameplay and they got it like 2 days before or whatever. Like, well, 2 days they were allowed to release it, the footage before the game came out. And I watched a little bit of it and I was like, oh, this seems interesting. I'll come back to it. And then I forgot about it. But
Yeah,
I
so did
like
I, to be
everybody,
honest.
yeah, like everybody was talking about it. So it like piqued my interest. And I was just like, this is one of those things where I'm gonna be late to the party, and like I know it. I'm gonna hear about it, and I'm gonna watch the whole thing, but I'm never gonna play the game myself, and I'm just gonna
Yes.
probably watch somebody play it, and
Yes,
then I
that's what I
might get
do.
it when it's like $15.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, like, yeah, it's so good. And I think, yeah, in terms of like the gameplay, it's for the most part a refined version of God of War. Obviously, like it isn't as epic and extravagant, but that
Mhm.
makes the epic scenes that more
Yeah, more
impactful. You
impactful.
know,
Yeah.
like God of War, like the first fight with Balder is super epic, and the
Yeah.
ending fight super epic. But like the whole series is full of giant scale, like you're fighting a
Yeah.
mountain person and
It
like all this
seems
stuff.
small
And
scale in comparison to like every other game, like
yes,
in the God of War series. But
yes,
when you like compare it to like another like game that's outside of that series, it's like they're fighting a 200-foot tall dead man that's being controlled by a witch from a forest that's fighting her son that can't feel any pain. That is also fighting an immortal god and his son.
yeah, yeah. Like
Huh?
it's pretty crazy. And like this, despite being a lot smaller scale, 'cause figure Japan wasn't that bloody big, but man, did they kill
Yeah.
each other all the time. It was
Yeah.
constant fighting. So
Yeah,
like
because God of War is impressive because it makes you buy into the world that's like
yes,
completely crazy, but it's so easy to just buy into a world like Ghost of Tsushima because it's just like, oh, this really happened. Like this is a real
yeah,
thing that
yeah.
occurred.
And I
So you
feel
can
like
logically put the pieces together.
yes, and I feel like I mean, just watching the game, I feel like they were like pretty close to history. Like all of it that I've seen is mostly feasible. Like there might be a few extra enemies here and there, because you can't kill like 1,000 people, but
Mm,
for the most part, I think it's really good, and it definitely makes that small scale still have that same like, like the first time that you as the Ghost of Tsushima like lead the charge to break a siege of a town, and you like behead this Mongolian general and terrify the entire enemy army single handedly, and all the other peasants are yelling your name or like killing people with you. You're like, oh, this is epic, and it's that same feeling you get when you're like Kratos beheading Poseidon. Like it's the same thing. It's
mm.
it's the same feeling, but just like a lot more down to earth and realistic.
It has the same intensity while not reaching this. It has the same intensity and impact while not being as like large and grand scale.
Yes, totally
Um,
opposite of Last of Us 2. Just saying. Gotta get that call back
you
in there.
Yeah, speaking of Last of Us 2, let's not talk about it at all. And let's talk about have you seen anything for Halo Infinite? Have you seen the
I've seen
shitstorm that's been going around?
the graphics look awful.
They do.
Like
Have you watched the full trailer, like the gameplay thing that they released the other day?
I've seen clips of it. Okay, so I personally am not a Halo game fan. I did play several of the games because my friend has several of the games. The
Mhm.
lore really really good. I'm a world builder person. I love to build myself some universes. So that sort of stuff, my favorite thing. The games, I never purchased any of them myself. I've played several of them. Halo 5 I played a little bit of. Graphics, of course. Halo Infinite, I
Yeah.
saw the gameplay of it, and I'm like, this looks like a downgrade. Like, what happened?
It is. So here's the weird thing. I'm not a Halo fan, but I've been involved like with this series for a while. Cause like
Yeah.
Halo, like the Master Chief is like one of those icons of gaming that you hear
Yes.
about for like ever. Like the second like you get into like any gaming community, eventually somebody's gonna like bring up the fact that they own like a Master Chief helmet that they keep in the like their shelf or some shit
Oh yeah.
because it's badass. Because
Mm-hmm.
Master Chief is like the ultimate badass because he's literally just nobody. He's so
Yeah.
empty and devoid of character that it gives him a character. And
Yes.
so the weird thing about the Halo games is that slowly as they became like a, progressed throughout the series, Halo stopped being Halo around like Halo 4
Yeah.
because I remember I was watching somebody make a video about it. It might have been Chris Reagan or somebody else, but they were talking about how Halo started off as an arena shooter. It was slow. It was open world. It was like one of the first games that was legitimately like open world with its story. Like if you've played Halo Combat Evolved, like the first game, it's very open world. Like you literally can just go from area to area and complete objectives in whatever order you really want, depending on like what level you're on.
Yes.
But it's very slow. It's like the only way you can really move quickly is like through vehicles in the early games, and then like you can't sprint. You don't have like an aim down sight on like most of your guns. It's way more focused on you taking in the entire environment instead of just like the one enemy that's here and then the one enemy that's over here. It's like an actual like war environment where you're like trying to take in all of the enemies at once and figure out what you're supposed to do rather than like Call of Duty or Battlefield where you're just like, all right, I see one guy over there, I'm going to take him out and then I'm going to take that guy out and then I'm going to take that guy out. It's like you watch all of it and you're just like, so I'm going to take out those 7 guys and then probably die and then try and take out maybe 4 guys and then probably die and then just keep going through the process until you figure out a way to survive.
Yeah.
But then slowly as the Halo series went on, it just became more and more like Call of Duty and Battlefield, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because most of those games are good.
Yes.
But it just Halo kind of really lost its personality, and then the ultimate kick in the balls was when Bungie left as developer for
Uh.
Microsoft, and then the only developer was 343 Industries or Studios. I forget if it's Industries or Studios,
I think it's in.
but um when 343 stepped in because 343 is a good development studio. They're really good. Like the graphics for the games, all the gameplay is good.
Yeah.
Everything about like Halo 4, Halo 5, uh the like Halo like Master Chief collection, all of it looks gorgeous, plays super fucking well, and is just like objectively a great game. But it's just not Halo. And that's like
Yeah.
everybody's biggest complaint is that these games are good, but it's not a Halo game. This feels like Destiny. This feels like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. This feels like Battlefield 5 or some shit where it's like so large scale. And like my biggest complaint with Halo 5 is they tried to make it like a fucking esports game. Like they really tried to push the esports shit for it. It was like we have these large sprawling maps, we have so many abilities and quirky new weapons, and it's like nobody cares, buddy. Like we just want to play as Master Chief and shoot things. This is not what we came for.
Yeah.
And so it's just slowly over the series, it just became less and less like Halo. But then with the Halo Infinite trailer, the graphics are definitely a downgrade, but the gameplay is a downgrade in the best way possible. Because
Yeah, it
it's
feels like with the gameplay, they're going back to like some of the better original formula and kind of moving with like the modern
yes.
day, like, oh, we're gonna make this a generic shooter.
Yeah, and that's like the whole thing is Halo always stood out because it wasn't like because everybody was trying to imitate Doom like
Oh
when Halo
yes.
was around. Everybody was trying to be like Doom if they were a first person shooter. And then Halo was just like, nah, we're gonna do our own thing. And then they did their own thing, and that's what made Halo stand out. And so now with this, the gameplay being such like a downgrade and going back to like you only have a limited amount of abilities and you can only pick up certain abilities in certain places. You only have a limited amount of health and stuff, and like all of these like shit that you would see in a game from the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's like and like people like the natural instinct is like when I first watched a trailer, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then the more I watched it, I'm like, holy shit, this is Halo. Like this feels like Halo again. Like I was watching it and I'm like, I'm not like a huge fan. Like I think I own like one Halo book because like my friend bought
Yeah.
it for me one time and I was like, oh fuck it, might as well. And then I read it and it was cool. But like Halo like has really interesting lore and like the early games have really good gameplay.
Yeah.
But it's just like it just started to drift away from being Halo gameplay wise and then story wise too, especially with like Halo 5, where it was like talking about not the dude that played Luke Cage. I forget
Yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
yeah. Well, like the whole the story got so like the Forerunners. I remember getting the magazine in the mail for Game Informer because I used to get Game Informers a lot.
Mm,
Where like I think it was
very
Halo 4,
90s,
Halo
very
5, where like they first brought the Forerunners into the series, and I'm like, this is gonna be so cool. And me, I love the Covenant as the main villains. They're always gonna be the OG,
hmm
but like the Forerunner, I thought could be a next Covenant. It could be like the sequel to the other aliens that we already hate, new
Yeah.
alien we already hate. And then after they included like that, and like then it just got so wacky and weird. And like Cortana turned evil or something, and Master Chief fell in love with her and is just like, I'm gonna do whatever you say, and like turned against I don't even know, man. I was just like, this is
Yeah.
awful.
It became a mess. It became very messy, and it's like everybody blamed 343, and it's not really their fault because Halo, like, because it's Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, and Halo 3 are like the games that everybody talks about. But like Halo just started to go downhill at Halo 3. Like Halo 3 was like I think the last one developed by Bungie. And even
Yeah.
that game, like story-wise, is still just like all right in comparison to Combat Evolved or Halo 2. And then Halo 4 is actually like a decent amount of fun. Like I actually really enjoy Halo 4.
Yeah, I
But
like Halo
story-wise,
4. I like ODST a lot. That's
ODST
my
is
favorite.
amazing. ODST is amazing. But Halo 4 is like story wise is kind of whack, but the gameplay is really good. And then it was just Halo 5 just showed all the problems because they wanted to 343 wanted to shift away from Master Chief and do their own
Yeah,
thing,
and I
which is
get that,
totally respectable
but
because
like,
that was Bungie's thing. Bungie's
yes,
thing was Master Chief. Like that was their character. They designed it for that and they were like, "Okay, that's cool, but we don't know what to do with that character because we didn't write him for the past 15 years. You guys did. Here's a new character that we want to introduce." And they tried to do it with the dude that played Luke Cage, and he was an interesting character, but it was just that like Halo is so tied into Master Chief, Cortana, uh, the Covenant, and the Flood that like the Forerunners and like Luke Cage we really don't care about.
well,
It's
because
like
like Master Chief and all the Covenant, that's all the aesthetic of the games. And
yeah,
bringing in like the new super fancy brightly colored armor that's like super weird looking and like
yeah, like the
biomechanical almost.
jetpacks and shit. And,
Yeah,
like
and like that's not like the whole point of Master Chief's armor and the other Marines armor was that it looked sci-fi, but it still looked realistic. It still looked down to
it
earth
looked like if
and
you had
gritty
an
and
army
real.
in space. Like if you had an
Yes,
army in space, that's what it would look like.
but
If
the
you had
new
a
stuff
super
doesn't have any of
sorcerer.
that. The armor looks super wacky and weird, and the jetpacks and all the different
It
crazy
looks like an
abilities.
astronaut outfit. It looks
Yeah.
like something NASA would make instead of the US Army, which is
Yes.
what made
Yes.
the Halo games unique
Like
is because it like had a almost realistic perspective of like an army in space,
Yeah,
but it was still
yeah.
like exaggerated with that sci-fi potential. It was literally the perfect cross of science and fiction. Because
Yes.
logically, that's what an army would look like. But fiction wise, are we really gonna meet a fucking flood of like infected feast, like warning aliens like that? Like you're not really gonna see that in
Well,
space,
yeah,
like
like
to that grand
and
scale.
the other kind of like part of it that I love about Halo games is that like the design behind the Marines stuff like that is that like at every point in the early games you know that the UNSC is weaker than the Covenant. At every point, they are outnumbered, their technology is worse, their ships are awful compared to the Covenant, and you
Oh
know
yeah.
that you are the only person there who can save them. In the new
Yeah.
games, there are so many Spartans, you're a part of a whole team now, and it's not just Master Chief going around single-handedly taking out warships by himself like a beast like he used to. You're just like,
Mhm.
well, I don't feel as cool. There's like 5 other people with me now, and like they're all the same as me, and only and,
Yeah.
before
Yeah, they
Master Chief.
introduced the fact that like Master Chief had a team before he like went out
Yeah,
into like Halo Combat Evolved, and it's like, where the fuck has this been for every other game? This doesn't make any sense.
exactly.
And it's like it's upsetting too because I feel like 343 could have done like an interesting thing with like the Luke Cage dude and like the new direction they were taking with Halo. Like you could definitely do something new, but make that like a spin-off game to introduce to
Yes.
people. Like if you want to introduce this new dude, make call it like because it's called Halo 5 Guardians, I'm pretty sure, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, then just make a new Halo game called Halo Guardians, and it's about these guys chasing after Master Chief. And then you have like the fifth and final game be like Master Chief's final ending, and then you can have like, the Guardians do their own thing or whatever. But then the problem with that is if you like end Master Chief's story, Halo's also over, which is the big problem, is that Halo is just so tied to Master Chief and Cortana and those core ideas that like I mean literally the voice assistant on Windows is Cortana. Like it's so tied into the identity of Microsoft, like Halo and Master Chief and Cortana is so tied into the identity of Microsoft, like their company as a whole, that like getting rid of them is like a sin basically because it's like they're just so tied into like the memory of what gaming as a whole is. Just to get rid of that character is insanity. You can't do it properly.
Yes, I feel like if they wanted to move away from Master Chief, they could have done something as simple as set the new games a long time after Master Chief had already been dead.
True.
Make it so like to totally separate the two of them and been like, all right, that's the Chief era, and now we're at a point where we can mass produce Spartans. We have all this cool stuff, and it's also the Forerunners are a thing now, and the Flood's still here, I guess, and like all this
Mhm.
stuff is still present. These new threats are here, and like it's now like to kind of like role reversal. Well, the UNSC are now like the big dogs instead of like the underdogs.
Mhm.
But they didn't do that. They tried to play it off as the same thing, but still changed everything up, and it didn't work as well as they thought it did. I don't think.
Yeah. But I think the issue with that whole idea of setting it later is that would you buy a game that's called Halo that doesn't have Master Chief in it?
But that's the thing. Like a spin-off
Yeah,
game would have been needed
because
to bridge the
because
gap.
the thing is, especially with Halo 5, people didn't want to get Halo 5 because there was no Cortana in it. Because Halo 4 was Cortana dying. So people were already mad about Halo 5 because they're like, well,
Yeah.
Cortana isn't in it, so why would I play it? I like Master Chief, Cortana, the Covenant, and the Flood. That's what I want to see.
Yes.
And it's like it's very unfortunate because you can't like it's really obvious that 343 just wants to move along and just make a new story.
The
But every
community's like,
time they
no.
do, yeah, because it's like it sucks because it's like Minecraft without Steve. It's so iconic and
Yeah.
so built into the design of like the game and the franchise that like you can add new things to it without taking away the old. And like you can do that, but it's so hard for like a new company to come along and be like, we're just gonna do the same shit that they were doing before. We want to do our own thing. We want to create new stuff instead of continuing the old story, which is why like Bungie leaving and going to Destiny just dicked over like the whole story, which is why I'm partially excited for Infinite to see them go back to that old thing, like their old
Yeah.
ways of like gameplay. And because 343, they're not a bad company. Like they make good the Halo 4 or Halo 5 are good games. They're
Yes.
objectively good games. Like even story wise, even if the story is a little whack, because like Master Chief like leaving and Cortana dying, it's like even if it's a little whack, they're good writers and they're good developers and they can definitely figure out a way to like make it interesting. But it's gonna be rough, especially with those graphics. Those
Yeah, the
graphic
graphics are. I mean,
Craig.
just weird. Like
It's
I hope they aren't going for like a cartoony style, because that'd be just the worst decision
oh,
ever.
I
It'd be
don't
the
think they
worst.
are. The thing is, it's like it looks like CGI from like 2005,
Yeah.
where it's like it's good enough where like it's fluid and realistic, but it's so like Play-Doh like everything has
Yeah.
like a weird polish over it where it's like
It looks
that
too
doesn't
smooth,
yeah, it's just too
you know?
smooth. It's like it doesn't look like it has like an uncanny valley effect where it's just like
Yeah.
this doesn't look like a real person.
That just to me
Like
tells
a
me that like they didn't have the time to like fully super detailed high res texture
oh
everything
yeah,
in
they were
5K and
they were
you know.
definitely working on the gameplay aspects of it for the entire time and the story. Because like what? It's been like
A few,
six
couple years,
years,
yeah.
like 5, 6 years. And like they were definitely like, we do not want to fuck up the gameplay or the story. We know we can do graphics. Graphics is like everybody talks about like graphics, like every game just looks good now if it's a AAA game. Like it's hard to find one that's like awful. But it's like everybody's complaining about the graphics and it is very like it's bad for a AAA game, but I'm also like thinking about the fact that like they have millions upon millions of dollars. The game isn't coming out until like late next year. The graphics are going to be fine by then. They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
definitely they wanted to make it look good enough that they could present it to everybody, but not to the but not like so bad that everybody's like, "What the fuck is this?" or like, "Why are all these models shitty?" It's definitely like everything needs a lot of polishing. It
Yes.
reminds me a lot of you remember the Spider-Man game controversy?
Yeah,
Where,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
where
yeah,
like the puddles were missing and
yeah.
everybody was like, oh my god, the graphics are downgrading. We're gonna get this shitty ass game. And then you see the scene in game, and all that's different is just the puddles are just shifted a little more because it's like depending on what the weather is on that day in the game. And it's like it's just like the game looks fucking beautiful. Like graphics are not really that much of an issue anymore. And it's just like
Yeah.
everybody was complaining for no reason. And
But
that's what I feel like is going to happen here is the graphics are going to be fine. It's just they were focusing on everything else besides that.
yeah, I feel like, a big part of it like before was like they thought they had a good formula, so they were like, well, we already know what the story's gonna be like. Let's just focus entirely on the graphics and like make it look
Yeah.
pretty. We already
Like
know what we're gonna
fucking
do.
Halo 5 looks better than like honestly it looks better than God of War. Like it's so
Yes.
polished. It's so
Yes.
fucking like good looking. It's like
It's
this was at the
photorealistic, basically.
beginning. It's like that was at the beginning of the Xbox era, right? Like the
I
Xbox
think
One
so.
era.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
That was like at the very beginning, and it's better looking than most of the games that have come out afterward. It's
Yeah.
better looking than Last of Us 2 or
Well,
God of
yeah.
War.
Last of Us
I
2
don't
is
know
not
about
a
those.
very pretty game.
Yeah,
Like it's the first one. When the first one came out, the graphics were like amazing for its time. Now they look the same as it did in the first one.
mhm. Uh, does Halo 5 look better than Ghost of Tsushima? From the little bit that I've seen, I don't know, but I know Halo 5 looks better than most games that are out that
Ghost
have come out recently.
of Tsushima. It's not as like in terms of like the like like a cutscene where like you can see the individual pores on a person's face. It isn't
Mhm.
as good as that, and it's still like noticeably like fake. Still into a video game, but the
Yeah.
terrains are beautiful.
Oh
Like the
yeah.
game looks Like the
Yeah.
landscapes and everything, and the weather looks amazing. The player models aren't as realistic, but what I do like is that like the cutscenes use in-game assets. So it's not like Call of Duty where it's like a live action
Oh yeah,
shot
it's like all like
cutscene, and then
pre-rendered shit.
yeah, there's a
Yeah,
really
okay.
jarring switch up. So I don't
Yeah.
think it's prettier than Halo 5 in terms of like raw graphical capability, but in terms
Mhm.
of like the landscapes and like that, it looks beautiful because of the stylization that is there. It makes it look
Mhm.
nice.
And so it's got a better aesthetic, is what you're trying to say.
Well, yeah, the Japanese aesthetic is just beautiful, no matter which way you look
Yeah.
at it.
But yeah, like Halo 5 was just such an objectively good game. It's like 343 can't fuck up the graphics. We know they're gonna do well. It looks like shit now, but like everybody's forgetting, like so much can change graphics wise in a year. Like I mean, just look at like the change between like Red Dead 2 and like Last of Us 2 in terms of like graphic capabilities because Red Dead 2 came out like last year
Yeah,
and Last of Us 2 came out this year. And like even though Last of Us 2's got a very ugly aesthetic, like when it comes down to like the raw cutscenes that are all generated in game, it looks better than Red Dead 2 most of the time. And I love Red Dead 2. Like I
Red Dead is
literally
so
beat
good.
the game in the first week. Like I got it first week and I beat it and I was like what 70 hours of story.
Yeah,
I
that
like
was it's a good game.
I poured so much time into that game that I don't even know why I did because I didn't end it. I still haven't gone back and replayed it, but I want to. But it's still just like it's one of those games where I'm just like 5 years from now I'm gonna come back and I'm just gonna fall in love with it all over again. And I know I am because it's just that good of a story, but it's like still burned into my memory, just like Arthur, we have to go to Tahiti.
Arthur, one more score, Arthur. I have a plan.
Arthur, we have to acquire the trip.
Micah.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated Micah
Don't
when I
go
first saw
dying
that
now,
game.
Black Lung.
Oh god, oh god. Yeah, when I first watched the full campaign Red Dead 2, and then cause I go through like phases. I think most writers do, where like they have like an obsession with a certain genre for a certain amount of time, and that's all they
Oh
can think
yeah,
about.
every writer of like every genre of music,
Yeah, yeah.
TV, movie, everybody has that for like a good 2 weeks, and then you move
Hmm.
on to something else.
Yeah, so back when Red Dead came out, I was like, oh, rootin' tootin' cowboy shooting right now. This is what I'm gonna kick for. So I could not stop watching that game, straight up. And eventually, Katie bought the game for me. My girlfriend bought the game for me, and
Nice.
had it mailed
You're
to me.
goated, Katie.
Yeah, she's number one in my book. Just to
Just
buy me the
playing
game.
Red Dead.
Yeah, that
Before
alone.
then, she was like number 7, but then buying the game, she like got booted up.
Well, I
It was
mean,
like
like
there you go.
Neil and George, they were pretty high up there. But after that, nah, not a chance. Yeah, I bought that game, man, and I was like, oh, this is so good.
So
It's so good.
I
It's
my grandmother actually bought it for me because
nice.
she knows nothing about video games, and I think like my birthday was around that time when the game came out because like my birthday was in like late May, and I think the game came out like early June or some shit. I don't remember off the top of my head, but she like bought like the $100 like special edition version because she was like, "Well, it's my grandson. I'm gonna get the best version for him," and then just
Uh,
gave it to me. And like I got the volcanic pistol, which is like the best pistol like you can get in the whole fucking game because it's just
yeah.
OP as hell. And so I just breezed through like most of the story because the pistol's OP. But I just remember just dedicating so much of my time to that game. Like I remember I legitimately spent like I think 45 minutes customizing like Arthur's different outfits for like
Yes.
being in the winter, being in the heat, being in
Yes.
average weather. And then like I look down at my watch, I'm like, I've been here for almost an hour. Oh god. This is not okay.
Yes, it's that and like the gun customization, dude. I spent
Oh,
so
so
much
good.
money, so
Oh
much
my
in-game money on that. Just
bro.
stupid.
I remember I think it was like one of the like mid of the game bank robberies where you get like fucking like $10,000 or some shit. like right before then I was dead broke and I had like maybe $10 in my pocket. I was like, I can't do jack diddly shit. And then I did that mission and I had like 10,000 in my wallet. I was like, I am buying every gun that I possibly can fucking buy.
Yeah,
My first
yeah.
instinct was weaponry. I need more weaponry.
The first weapon I customized and rated to was the knife.
Oh yeah, the knife is so good.
Because the melee combat in Red Dead 2 is so satisfying.
It
It's
is.
so
I wish
good.
there were more melee weapons. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah,
It's like
there's
the
not
knife
enough.
and the tomahawk and like the lasso. Like these the
Yeah.
main ones that you use.
There
And
needs
like
to
your
be
fist,
more.
obviously.
Yes.
That's why I'm praying that there's gonna be like a Red Dead DLC sometime soon. Because
Well,
I want
they
that.
announced the
So
Naturalist a couple of days ago.
they announced a what?
The Naturalist, which is like I think it's for multiplayer. I'm pretty sure, but it's
Oh yeah.
like the hunting and like all the extra stuff required to that. It's supposedly like a massive DLC.
Yeah, but the multiplayer is just it's only fun if you play it with friends, and that's really it. If you play
Yeah.
by yourself, you're just kind of like, oh, this is dog shit.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got to burp. Oh,
Well,
I
it's
thought I
like
muted myself. God damn it.
well, it's like GTA Online. You know, like if you're alone, it's just like, well, I mean, I can do some stuff, but to a certain
Yeah,
degree,
it's
I'm
not
limited.
as fun. Like
Yeah.
GTA Online by yourself is just like,
Depressing.
yeah,
To be honest, like I mean, I don't own GTA 5, but I've played it at friends' house stuff like that, and at parties, and like without anybody else there, you're just kind of running around being a sadist to people. Like you don't really
yeah.
have like anybody to do anything with, you know. You can't do a
Mhm.
heist by yourself because you'll get raffle stomped. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. But Red Dead Online is fun only if you have friends, but it's not as I don't know why they designed it in the way they did to be identical to GTA Online.
yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense because you can do so much in GTA Online. They should have just made it like an MMO or some shit. Where it's just like open Wild West bullshit and you can just do whatever. You can be a bandit, you can be a lawman, you can be whatever the fuck. But for some reason they were like, you all are bank robber cowboys. And it's like,
And
but
you're all
why?
still mute, and you're like, what? Well, I thought we were beyond this point, but all right, sure.
Yeah.
You can afford voice actors, Rockstar. Like, come on. I know you can do it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just there's not a lot of like really like I was just about to say something and it just completely left my mind. Never mind. All right,
There
I'm
aren't
gonna
enough
shut the fuck up
cowboy
for the rest.
games.
Not enough cowboy games. That's
Not
definitely what I
enough
was gonna
cowboy
say.
games, and not enough samurai games. Not enough cowboy samurai games.
That what if what if the DLC for Red Dead 2 is a Ghost of Tsushima DLC?
Just you can just okay. You buy Red Dead 2, okay? The DLC is Ghost of Tsushima, just the whole game.
It's
You just buy the whole game. It's just Arthur
inside
Morgan gets
Red Dead 2.
shipwrecked in Japan, and you have to go through the. So have you ever seen the Last Samurai movie? Tom Cruise.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, not the whole thing.
It's just that, but you're Arthur Morgan, and it's Ghost of Tsushima, and you have to fight the Mongols as a cowboy. Like, you have a gun, and you're running around. The Mongols are like, "What is this white man doing here?" You're just like, "Son."
Just wake up on the beach next to fucking Dutch. You're just like, this doesn't look like Tahiti.
Am I in Cuba again? God darn it! I got away from that stupid place. What in the world? Even though those two games take place like a couple centuries apart from each other, but it's fine.
Yeah.
What is fun though is that historically
Stuck in
speaking,
a little bit.
you could play as a cowboy, a French revolutionary, a feudal Japanese samurai, and an Aztec soldier, all the same. Like those all exist at the exact same time in history.
Yeah, isn't that like mid to late 1800s or some shit?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's mind
So
boggling.
I want a video game that's where you play as a pirate samurai, Wild West cowboy who's also Aztec, and you can like go around to different parts of the world and be the different stereotypes.
That's called For Honor, buddy.
Yeah, For Honor's gay. Like I saw For Honor. For Honor's
Conviction with
gay.
which you said that. The conviction with which you said that. Just no hesitation before I finished the sentence. You were like, For Honor is gay.
Like I watched the full story of it. It's gay. It's just gay. It's gay. There's no like I know just like people. Some people are will stand on that hill defending the game and will die on that hill. Me, it's gay. It's just what it is, dude. It's somebody taking my idea of samurai pirate ninja Vikings and being like, let's make this gay. It's like you ruined my idea, dude. Where's my royalties for my idea? You ruined it, dude. I'm telling you. For Honor's the worst. It's just I hate that game, dude. It's like it's toxic.
I've legitimately never played it because it always looked bad. Even when like people were hyping it up, I'm like, I don't care. But
Yeah,
that
it's
was
awful.
But For Honor is gay is probably the best description of the game I've ever heard.
Community is
Oh my
toxic.
god.
The gameplay is bad. The story is the actual worst. The concept could be good if I had written it. Obviously, that's where we come down to it. That's what. For the story
Are
of
you
my
talking
life,
about For Honor or Overwatch?
Overwatch is also gay. Also, a game that I've been introduced to, Paladins, which is just an Overwatch clone, is also gay. Just putting it out there.
Okay, you want to know the worst part about Paladins and Overwatch?
What?
Overwatch used to be good in the very beginning, and
Yes.
also Paladins isn't even an Overwatch clone. It was made before Overwatch release.
Oh, that's even more gay.
Overwatch
Overwatch is an Overwatch clone.
It's more upsetting because fucking Paladins like released like I think 4 months before Overwatch came out, like as a hero shooter, and then Overwatch came out, and then everybody was like, Paladins is just an Overwatch clone, and the entire company is just sitting there like, we've been here for 4 months, we've been doing this already.
That sucks because Paladins is worse. I played the Overwatch beta and a little bit after it came out, and I never got into it because the community was super toxic. But Paladins is just like a less polished free Overwatch, which you get what you don't pay for. So
Yeah, I was into Overwatch for a decent amount of time. Like the first year and like year and a half of Overwatch, I was very involved because like that was like the beta was a little bit toxic, but like when the game officially released and like everybody was playing it, the community hadn't really developed.
Yeah.
But then as it did, it just got very, very bad.
It was like a 4chan post, but personification, It was pretty bad. The Paladin is not a toxic community. It's just that like it's a poorly made free Overwatch.
Yeah, it was trying to be like TF2 but cooler, and then Overwatch came out and did TFT but cooler, and it's like, that's unfortunate for you, buddy. Time to rethink your entire career. But Overwatch was fun in the very beginning, like for me, because like I played like Junkrat and like Symmetra and like all the characters that everybody loved to hate because they were so much fun to play as. Because I was legitimately like the best Junkrat for like on like whenever I played with my friends for like most of the time. I was constantly like gold eliminations, gold damage, like gold just every fucking thing, and just completely shredded everybody else. And then I was like shit at every other character, but I was really good at Junkrat. But then then they just started updating and adding characters, and just the more that they added, the more the game just lost like everything that I liked. I still watch like the occasional YouTuber that plays Overwatch, but I more watch them for their like personalities and the people that they play with than I do the actual game, because the game itself is pretty shit nowadays. I am excited for Overwatch 2. I don't know why. It's probably the community is going to be just as shitty, but they have a story mode, and that's the only reason I'm interested.
Yeah.
You have no idea what to say after everything is gay, do you?
Well, For Honor's is gay. There's no like Overwatch again used to be good, and now it's gay. Paladins was always kind of gay. The whole genre is just oversaturated and gay.
Yeah, the whole genre became oversaturated with like hero shooters after Overwatch because
Yeah.
everybody was like, "We want to be like Overwatch," and it's like, no. It's like battle royales, where like battle royales were never cool, and then they happened, and then they were all dog shit, and then now there's like one good one, and that's the only one that people really like to play, and it's just Call of Duty again, and that's it. Like Warzone is kind of fun. I'll admit Warzone is fun, but like Fortnite is just a fucking mess. Nobody plays Fortnite. It's just 15-year-olds and Travis Scott fans.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Just it's disappointing to be perfectly honest.
Yeah. It's the gaming in general can be really disappointing and really satisfying at the same time. Because you'll get a game like God of War, Red Dead 2, and Spider-Man all come out in the same year. And then you have to remember that Fortnite is still the most successful game of that year, more than those three games combined.
Yeah, that's
Fortnite made more money than those three games combined, and that's something we have to live with.
yeah, I feel like as like a collective gaming community internationally, if we could just like vote to remove Fortnite from the annals of history, just kind of be like, well, that happened, we want to remember it, so let's just kind of like ban that from being mentioned in public.
Yeah, I mean, I think I played Fortnite once because I was bored and it was free, and I was like, I'm not doing anything. I might as well try and see what all the 12-year-olds are freaking out about. And
Yeah,
I
I
played it.
played like 2 or 3 games, got top 10 all 3 times, and then I was like, well, this game is gay, and then I stopped.
See, the worst part is I didn't even get like first place. I got like I didn't even get top 10. I think I was like bottom 50. I was just like, I
Yikes.
can't do battle royales. I don't have like the focus. Like I can't be so just like running out in the middle of the field doing nothing. I'm just like, my instinct is just like, well, now I just want to break everything. There's nothing going on. Like I don't have the
Yeah.
patience to sit there for like 8 hours until like the game is over and I get
Well,
to the
that's the problem
final like
that
circle.
Fortnite ran into. That I think Warzone, which I have played and play a lot of, and I play the current modern I got Call of Duty a lot, and it's a really good battle royale game. But they did
Mhm.
like well is that like the games are much faster than Fortnite's, and there are more
Yeah.
people, so it's more densely packed and stuff like that, and it's a lot like Fortnite because of the building. It has a much higher skill ceiling. Warzone
Yeah.
has basically no skill ceiling. It's just if you are good at
It's
COD, you are
literally
good
just
at
pick up a
Warzone.
gun and then play. That's all it is.
Yes, yes. And sure, the community can be pretty toxic. And I
It's
can
Call of
contribute
Duty.
to
When is
that.
it not toxic?
Yeah, and like, I can contribute to that and stuff like that, with getting, death threats from people in text chat and stuff during multiplayer matches because I'm just the
Jesus
worst.
Christ.
But like Warzone is really fun. I think what it needs now is a new map. That's the only thing that my only
Oh
criticism
yeah.
needs a new map, or at least like an extension to the map, at least something, anything. Jesus, it's like
Yeah, Warzone. I haven't played a lot. I actually haven't played any Warzone, but I know a lot of my own friends play it, and I watch a lot of YouTubers play it because it looks like a lot of fun.
oh yeah,
But
YouTubers. Oh, it's so fun to watch, dude. It's so fun to watch
bro,
and like
like
fun to
watching like
play.
Grizzy or Smitty play it is like the
Yeah,
most fun of my life. It's funny, especially you watch Grizzy.
yeah,
Grizzy's so good. I love
yes,
watching like those fucking videos because it's just funny to like see how people interact in those like stressful situations. Which it sucks with Fortnite because those situations don't happen as frequently as they should in order to make like the
no.
commentary better.
Well,
Because like
because
I remember,
Fortnite's like you can get like the same situations happen between the two games. Problem is that in Warzone, they feel more real and more stressful because it looks real. Fortnite is a big
yeah,
cartoon, so you don't feel as much danger or much stress.
yeah,
Like me, I've made it to top 5 in Warzone a couple times. My heart has been like out of my chest every time because it's terrifying, and I have to like crank the volume up on my TV so I can hear people's footsteps from across the map. So I could be like, all right, how who is where, and how can I kill them from my spot without revealing myself, and like where I can
mhm.
where can I move across the street so I don't get sniped from somebody across the city, all this stuff. And like in Fortnite, I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna mine this wall. and you're
Yeah,
like,
like
it's just not
it's
as fun, to be honest.
it's so slow paced and so dragged out. Like an
Yes.
average, like if you were to like let the Fortnite timer tick out, it's like a good half an hour. And
Yeah.
like
Warzone, I
I
think,
don't,
is usually like 20 to a half an hour. Yeah.
yeah, but
It
it's like
feels
half
faster
an
because
hour.
it's constant action. Stuff is always happening.
Yeah. And like in Fortnite, you can go through a whole match and not
Not
have
see
any
anybody.
action until the
Yeah.
last 2 minutes, and it's like,
hmm
ugh,
I
it's
hate, like,
not
that's
interesting.
like a battle royale game. Like what stuff like that. Run into that. Player unknown's battlegrounds had that problem where like you could see not a single soul, and you just get sniped from across the map and die. And you'd be
Wait,
like,
what was
well,
Battlegrounds again? Which one was Battlegrounds?
battlegrounds. That was like it was like the original one before Fortnite. The,
Oh, PUBG,
yeah,
PUBG.
PUBG. And
I
like,
I
yeah,
like heard
player unknown's
Battlegrounds, and I'm like,
battlegrounds.
I forgot
PUBG.
it was called PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't. Am I dumb? I don't remember that game.
yeah. That's PUBG.
and, and the worst part is, I watched somebody play it the other day.
It
I
used to be a
completely
really,
forgot about it.
really big game, and like the problem with that is the same thing. Like, you could go a whole match without seeing anybody, and you just get shot out of nowhere and die.
Yeah,
And there's no
but
hope for you to
that,
like come back. Warzone has the Gulag, which is a super cool system, by the way. I love that
yeah.
they wrote that in. That's like peak. It's also super stressful, by the way. Like, and
Mm.
they changed it in recent update. So I don't play Warzone much anymore. I primarily play multiplayer because I bought the actual game, the full license to buck game. I'm a nerd like that. But I feel like Warzone every couple days. And the last one I played in, right, I got in the Gulag, and I get a 1v1 with another person. And I'm like, oh, what gun do I have? Usually they give like an AR or a shotgun. I got a Car 98. Do you know how awkward it is to 1v1 somebody when you both have Car 98s?
Jesus Christ.
You know how I killed that person with a Molotov?
Jesus
Even given a
Christ.
gun. Now, in my defense, okay, in multiplayer, my Car 98 is level 44 because it's a really good gun, and I mained it for several days trying to get the Bear 50 caliber sniper when it first came out. However, in that kind of like, okay, you're in a tight corners of the bathroom of a gulag with a full-on rifle trying to hit somebody, and this dude, right? So, the match starts, and I'm like looking around, trying to figure where this dude's going, and I see him running around a corner and crouch behind one of the toilet walls and just sit there. I see the barrel of his rifle peek out from behind the wall, and I'm like, yeah, it's a wise strategy because you have a bolt-action rifle, and if you try to, you're just gonna get shot. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
how can I take this guy out? And I accidentally hit the Molotov button, and I killed him. And I felt very bad because I did not mean to hit that button. And sure enough, I
Yeah,
got
you
killed
totally did
immediately.
that on accident, buddy. Definitely.
I
Just
did.
just take the W. Stop lying.
I did. It was by accident. I'm good at the game, but I'm not that good at the game. Like I'm not smart. Like my reflexes are cat-like, but in terms of my strategic, like under stress, like if I'm playing like Warzone or whatever, I mean, that being said, I have gotten us some flanks, and I am a rat, if you want to put it in.
Jesus Christ.
Have you ever heard of the game Escape from Tarkov?
Yes, I have.
I play that game. Not a lot. I used to play it a lot more, but I do, and I own the game. And it's a very fun game. And that game, the skill ceiling is, besides being stupidly high, it also trained me for Warzone before it came out. So I was playing Tarkov, and then I go to Call of Duty again, and I'm like, oh, this is easy. Like, I don't have to worry about where I step. I don't gotta worry about like inventory, really. I don't gotta worry about like jamming or people hearing me or like getting shot through a wall or getting grenaded through a corner or a scab aimbotting me across the map. Oh, this is great.
Yeah, I definitely need to get like back in the video games. I haven't been playing a lot. The only thing I've been playing is fucking Minecraft for like the past like 2-3 months,
Jesus,
and I'm okay
still?
with that because Minecraft is so fucking fun.
Oh yeah, it is. I play it on PlayStation 4 still. I want to get it on PC so I get mods for it again though.
Oh
That's the
yeah, I
thing.
have it on Xbox One, and like my world is like this little like I've built so much shit. Like every time somebody logs into my world for the first time, they're like, "You're single, right?" And I'm like, "Nope, I'm not. I don't know who loves me, why they love me. Hi, Tori. Sorry, but I don't know
Wow.
why she loves me. But I'm not single. I have too much time on my hands. Like I'm not even kidding. I literally built a coliseum in the game. Like not an accurate Roman Colosseum, but it's like made out of wood and like planks and logs because that's what I had at the time. Because there was just this really like cool miniature mountain, and I was like, I'm gonna build a Colosseum around that. And then I built it. And then I built a giant water slide. And then I built a biodome. And then I built a fucking aquarium. And it's just anytime I get an idea, I'm like, I'm gonna build that. And then I just do it for no reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I am with like I mean, I used to get because the way that I usually work and how I go about my existence is I'll play video games, and then usually what ends up happening is I get like depressed, or something horrible happens, and then I turn to writing as my source of therapy essentially, and that's when I binge a whole novel in like 2 weeks, and then I'm like, okay, well, that's done, on to the next project. Recently I've been gaming and stuff, but yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I have way too much free time on my hands, and I'll just like write all day, every day, 24/7,
See,
365.
at the very least, with writing, you're being somewhat productive. My idea of just having no time is just playing Minecraft all day and then getting nothing accomplished. It's just that's my level of productivity is playing Minecraft or then playing Red Dead Online or playing like some other bullshit and just like not doing anything to accomplish anything. And then I clean my room like once every 2 weeks. And then I'm like, I feel accomplished. I'm ready to go out and do things.
I
And
can
then I
do
do
taxes, and you
nothing.
don't do taxes.
I don't do taxes. I'm not avoiding them. I'm not being fraudulent. I just don't have any taxes to do.
Oh
Please don't
yeah.
report me.
Well,
Please don't report me.
I don't do taxes either because I don't have a job. So
Well, I'm just talking to the audience at large. I definitely do not commit tax fraud
I'm
at
talking to the
IRS.
IRS specifically. I'm calling you out, IRS. Dakota, I know you're out there somewhere.
Listen, IRS, if you would just tell me how much I would have to pay, I wouldn't have to be such a good liar.
True though. Like, honestly, the
Yeah.
IRS is whack.
Yeah, the
For
IRS
real.
is bullshit and makes no sense, but we're here to talk about video games and nothing else because this is the only thing apparently we do.
Well, I mean, there is politics. The problem is like, because the problem with like modern, like, the current climate, everything's so
It's so
insane. It also
stupid.
seems normal.
It's so stupid. Like I don't even want to talk. Like I remember when we were talking like about starting this podcast, we were like, "Oh, we could touch on politics and stuff." But politics is just so fucking stupid right now. It's like it reminds me so much of 2016 where it was like
Yeah.
everybody was trying to act like they were intelligent and knew anything about
Wee.
politics. And then
Orange
like you
man
wait 2
bad.
years. Orange man bad. No shit. Thanks.
Yeah, great.
Okay. No shit. It's almost like every president has been really shitty.
Yeah, and
Nice
like,
job. Thanks for letting
party
us know.
political parties should be disassembled, but you're not gonna talk about that. You can talk about how Orange Man bad, because
Yeah,
who
and like
cares?
how 90% of the things he did for the same thing from like the brown man, but all right, it's stupid. It's just like when the first when all this political shit hit, I'm like, y'all are shocked that the government is corrupt, that there are bad people out there.
Yeah,
It's like
like, what are you even talking
that's
about? You didn't think about that already?
like you're just stupid. But it's just like there's no fun in talking about politics nowadays. Like it used to be fun. Like it used to be like not necessarily fun, but not as emotional. It was still
It's
like it had
yes.
emotions, but it was like
It
it
wasn't
was
so.
more civil.
Yeah. It wasn't so like, yeah, like barbaric. Now it's just like if you say something bad about anything leftist, you're automatically a bigot and a
And if
transphobe,
you
and
say anything bad about anybody right, it's like you're un-American and you hate this country. And it's like,
you're a libtard or whatever. You're a
yeah, it's like
communist. And I'm like, well, I'm definitely not a communist, and I'm definitely not like, all for LGBTQ and like, all that stuff. But the same, I have common sense. Like,
yeah,
people
it's
you need
just
to grow up and like figure out that like the world isn't based around just the Repubs and the Democrats.
yeah,
There are
and
different,
it's
middling
just
ground.
It's just pointless. It's so pointless. It's not fun. I'm gonna wait for like a year or 2 years from now when all of it dies down and people are a little more like civil about stuff. Because it's better because you can't have these discussions online right now. Because then everybody gets super emotional and thinks you're just being a racist or you're being a quote unquote libtard. And it's
Yeah.
like you can't have like the second you say anything left leaning, people are like, "You're un-American and you hate this country." It's like, no. And then it's like say the second you say anything right leaning, it's like, "Oh, you're racist and you hate minorities." And it's like, I am. Us two are like the biggest minorities in like
Yeah.
our entire
We
friend, like
are
one
we
of the
are the
biggest
minorities.
minorities in our friend groups. And it's like,
Yes.
all right.
What are you talking about, man? Like, I mean, I do hate myself, but that's a different story. That's something
I
totally
hate
different.
myself for personal reasons, not
Yeah,
racial.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
listen,
Uh,
listen.
I'm not that stereotyped, all right? It's different reasons. God.
Right? Yeah, it's not entertaining to talk about politics, which is why it sucks. It's cool to make little jabs and stuff, and then like people will get mad for no reason. But it's not fun to have large form political discussions right now because everybody feels like they're smarter than everybody else. And I know I'm not smarter than most people out there. I'm pretty
Yeah.
dumb, but I have some things called common sense about certain
Yes.
issues. And it's like, it's not fun to talk about politics right now because
Yes.
everybody is treating it as life or death. And to a certain extent, on some issues, it is. And some people have different
I mean,
opinions and
it
perspectives
is
on stuff.
like to an extent, but at the same time, like let's say you're at like a party or a bar or whatever it is. You're talking about like some random person, at the counter or whatever. You're chatting somebody with, whatever, and you're talking politics. Like the conversation you two people will have is not life or death.
Yeah.
Like
You
whatever your
can you
personal
can
beliefs
disagree
are,
with somebody and
yeah, it's
still
not
be
gonna
fine.
affect the wider globe. You're not Bill Gates. You can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Like I guarantee you that if I had like an actual like formal political discussion with any one of my friends, I would probably disagree with them on a lot of stuff and or disagree with them on only a little bit of stuff. But that little
Yeah.
bit of stuff is not going to affect my entire friendship or my
No.
life. Like I don't
Exactly.
agree with my girlfriend on like 99% of things that she likes or agrees with, but we still date.
Exactly.
It's just like, all right, that's just our life. That's just who we are. It's just we
Yeah.
got different people, but as long as I like you, and I'll stick around. If I don't like you, that's it. But it's
Well, I
just
don't know.
like,
I mean, Kate and I've been going for like 2 years and stuff, so I don't know. It's starting to get old.
Jesus Christ,
Oh God.
that's Katie's gonna kick your
Yeah,
ass when she
I'm
goes
gonna
there.
get yelled at tomorrow for that. I can feel it already.
Oh, I want to be there for that. All right, I want you to call me and just be like, "You want to hear this?"
Just hear
Yes.
screaming in like whumps.
Just what did you say about me on the podcast? I'm sorry. I'm so
Oh
sorry.
God. I mean, like like me and her, we disagree on some stuff, figure out that stuff. The bigger thing I think is that like this is something that I've discovered having spoken to a lot of people. So I am, what one might call an intellectual and academic. I am a scholar. I don't care about like jobs. I care like I'm a philosopher deep down. That's what I'm a thinker.
The
I'm an idea
Aristotle
guy.
of our time.
Yes, truly. I am the next Sun Tzu. Uh, but like for teenagers and not for like soldiers. Different kind of war we're fighting. Uh,
The art of chemistry instead of
yeah,
the art of war.
yeah. So
The art of doing your taxes because nobody will teach you.
yeah, pretty much. The art of common sense. But yes, like as somebody who was constantly on the search for intellectual conversation and for civilized discussion and for genuine ideas and stuff like that. I've discovered, having talked to a lot of people, that I am very wise for my time compared to other people. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I can talk well and like I'm articulate, but like some people, oh my god, some people are
Yeah,
just like, how do you function? Like, do you have to think
yeah.
to
There's
breathe? Like,
yeah.
what's up
There's
with you?
certain people that I know that I'm just like, I don't know how you like make it down the stairs in the morning. Like I'm shocked that your leg, like you could figure out how to work your legs properly.
Yeah, like can you dress yourself, man? You doing okay? Like some people. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
there's certain people out there in the world that are just like not meant to be involved in like anything that involves more than two brain cells, which is something
Yes.
I think anybody can agree with,
But the
whether they're
problem
left
is that
leaning or
like
right leaning. They're still idiots. It's just some
yes.
idiots just don't deserve the right to think.
But and then the problem with that is like media and social media enables those idiots to have a loud enough voice for people to hear them. Whereas
Flat
like
Earth, all that shit. It's like,
yes,
oh god.
the fundamentalists, the creationists.
Yeah,
There's
you know what's really interesting about flat Earth? I did some fucking research. I used to think it was like just like old white people, like old white conservatives. There's a
no,
lot
it's
of like liberal left leaning people that
yes,
believe in flat Earth, and I'm
like
like, what?
teenagers and like college students. I'm like, you got into a college. You can't be dumb and get. How do you? What's wrong with you? Who?
It's
Oh,
it's because certain idiots then get a platform to say things that are stupid. Because I remember I heard this a long time ago, and I don't remember if it was like my dad or he like relayed it to me from like another like information source. But he no, definitely wasn't my dad. My dad doesn't like the internet, so he wouldn't have said this. It was somebody else. He the person basically said that people have always been idiots and have had dumb opinions. It's why witchcraft and like the Salem witch trials have existed. The
yeah,
problem with the internet is the internet gives the Salem witch trials validity. Like it
yeah,
enables those people to believe that they're actually legit because it allows there would be an idiot that would live in a town in like the medieval times and everybody would be like, you're fucking stupid, stay away. But now with the internet, it allows that one idiot to find another idiot in a different town, and those two idiots find more idiots in different towns, and then they find them in different countries and different states all over the planet, and then suddenly those idiots have validity because there's other idiots that believe in it. That's the problem with the internet and like social
yes,
media is that internet,
yes,
like these idiots just get the validity that they've always wanted because everybody would just say they're stupid, but now they're valid because there's a bunch of them that all believe in this stupid thing, and it's so dumb.
yeah, yeah. The whole like I don't know. We need to like start shooting down idiots more on the internet. Like, people can't keep taking people's word but like, as truth. Like even if you listen to this podcast right now, and if one of us says something you're like, I don't know if I believe that. Please go look it up. Prove us
Yeah,
wrong. Don't
do
just be like
research.
they're right.
This is our opinion. That's the thing. And like if you don't agree with our opinion, whether it be on Ghost of Tsushima, on The Last of Us, or like Red Dead 2, or anything else, or Halo 5, or whatever we end up discussing on this
For
piece of
Honor.
shit.
No, actually, no. I take that back.
No,
It's just
For Honor's
gay.
bad. For Honor's
It's
objectively bad.
objectively bad. It's just
But
gay. There's no
it
hope.
no matter what, just do your own research. I've been anybody who like follows me on Instagram knows the fact that I've been constantly preaching, do your own fucking research. Instagram posts and Twitter headlines are not going to be valid.
No.
Politicians are just going to say what gets them the most votes and gets you to give them their money. They want you to give them your money. They don't care about you. They don't care about people. They care about votes and money. Where the money is, that's where they're going to go. You know, that's what Donald Trump
Yes.
is going to do. That's what AOC is going to do. That's what Bernie Sanders is going to do. That's what Joe Biden is going to do. It's what Obama did. It's what Hillary Clinton tried to do. They follow the money in hopes that it'll give them votes. They don't care
Yes.
about people. The research is there. The politicians don't care. No matter whether you're left leaning, right leaning, or anything in between, it politics is stupid. No matter who you
Yeah.
are, politics is dumb and gay and gross. And I say gay, and I don't care because you know what? I am a little gay, and I'm okay with that.
And like yeah,
Right? I'm valid.
it's just like yeah, the almighty dollar is where everything leads to. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like people, especially like on the internet, especially like if you read something, the person writing that is not going to tell like okay, a liar is not going to provide you the research to prove them wrong. You know,
Oh no.
like you have to go and look for that.
Fox News is not going to give you the ability to tell them that they're wrong. CNN is not going to give you the ability to say that they're wrong.
If they do, they're
Like
stupid.
Yeah,
That's
no
just how it works.
professional journalist is going to give you the ability to tell them that they're incorrect on something.
Yes,
That's just how it works.
because that's just
But
against
just
self-preservation.
just yeah, just take your time, look at what both sides are saying, and realize that everybody is fucking stupid. No matter who you are, no matter what race you are, what religion you are, sexuality, gender, whether you're male, female, other, in between, whether you're gay, straight, bi, pan, whatever ever other fucking sexualities there are out there. I don't remember. There's like 72 now, if I
Yeah.
remember. And like whatever you are, everybody's stupid, and you're not smarter than them. I'm not smarter than them. And Dakota thinks he's smarter than them, but I guarantee you that if Dakota had another conversation with somebody like him, he would kill himself. But
Well,
if
yes. Okay,
yeah,
if I were to meet a clone of myself, we'd both kill ourselves.
yes, because you would realize that you suck and you're stupid too, and you're like, God, I don't want to talk to anybody. So you would just blow your brains out. I would do the same thing. If I ever met anybody like me, I'd be like, God, this is lame. Why would I ever want this?
Yes,
The whole point, people just don't seem to realize that everybody's stupid.
Yeah.
Everybody is an idiot.
Everybody's
Nobody's smart. Nobody is smart. I don't think people realize that. The people that are smart are only smart at one thing.
Yeah.
Albert Einstein, really good at science. Guarantee you, could not write a book for his life.
He
Fucking
got
Stephen
C's.
Hawking.
He got C's in math in middle school. All right. Like he's even that good at math, and he's an astrophysicist. Like, come on.
Exactly.
Like
Stephen Hawking, one of the most brilliant minds of our time, spoke on technology and like astrophysics. Couldn't walk. Let's be real. All right.
He was the worst athlete you've ever seen in your life. Just saying. He's really bad at soccer. I'm not gonna, just put.
He was pretty good at pool though. For some reason, he was pretty good at pool. He was good at billiards.
Billiards.
The UK would say.
Yeah, cricket off.
But he was really good at frisbee golf for some reason too. I don't know if he had a cannon of an arm when it came to frisbee golf.
Foosball, number one.
He was a foosball champion.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking was a professional swimmer.
Oh God.
This is not okay. We're making fun of like a dead astrophysicist that like changed the planet.
Yeah, he was one of my idols when I was younger. I know. I actually read his papers word for word, his essays.
Jesus.
I understood half of it. Half of it was numbers, but the other half, there was words. I understood the words. But in I know I actually know how his sciences work, and I know all that stuff because I went and I'm curious, so I looked it up and I went to universities and to studies and to his reports and all this stuff, and I read on all of this. And as somebody who has had a conversation with people who are objectively smarter than I am, now I am, according to the government, like the top 3% of the population in terms of intelligence and like IQ and whatever. I'm pretty high up there. Okay, I have met people. When I applied,
not a lot. That's not a big number. A lot of people are stupid here.
Yeah,
a lot of people are stupid everywhere. Top 3. That's like what, IQ of 4?
Yeah. If you are a goldfish or higher, you are top 5% automatically.
If you are not an inanimate object, you are in the top 3%.
Yeah. But yes, as somebody who has spoken to alumni of Princeton University and been like, oh my God, this person, he might have, okay, so when I went for the interview for Princeton, right, I was interviewed by somebody who went for a mathematics major. Now he makes the formulas for the stock market AIs.
I'm sorry, what?
He drove to the interview in a Dunkin' Donuts in a Tesla. Okay.
Teslas are awesome. Teslas are like my dream.
I love Teslas. Well, they're my favorites too. But yeah,
so nice looking. Have you seen the Tesla Roadster?
I have.
The one that was supposed to come out this year. God, that shit looks so pretty.
I want one.
I'm not even like that big of a car guy, but
neither am I. But I want a Tesla, dude. Anyway, yeah. So this guy's from the car. Yeah. So this dude, this interview at a Tesla, right? And I'm talking to him, right? And he's consistently telling me that he was never the smartest in English or anything like that, and he was never really smart at math, when he found like stat and he found the stock market. That's when he found his thing. And talking to him, and in my head I'm going, this guy is either humble or inept because he is way smarter than I am and way better read than I am, way better educated than I am. And he's like, he was okay. This is the thing, all right. Now this is a skill that my parents call playing the game, where you basically pretend to be smarter than you are, right? And at that interview, I did that by doing that to a Princeton interviewer. Now that's tough to do because top of the country, one of the best schools in the world. He's like super rich, very well educated, well read, older than me by like double. So like I was definitely outmatched, and I knew that he was smart.
Also, real quick, no apologies to anybody that heard my burp.
No, yeah, it's what you deserve for this podcast.
Yeah, I was eating Ridge chips, sour cream and cheddar. It was really good.
But yeah, so I'm sitting here listening to this dude talk, and he's like, oh, I wasn't very good at writing. I could never write anything, and he was like talking to me, asking me questions, stuff like that. Interviewing me like he was supposed to, and I was talking to him about like psychology and philosophy and writing and all this stuff that I'm interested in, I'm majoring in, and he knew what I was talking about. He was matching me, and I'm like, this dude knows way more than he's letting on. Like he is obviously dumbing himself down to just be, speak to a mere mortal. So, it was a very humbling experience. And like I've always admitted that I'm not very smart. I don't think I'm very smart. I know books, and I know how to write, and people will come to me for advice, and I'm a wise person and I'm mature for my age, but I'm not smart. Like if you put me in like I don't know a bar, I would be I'd be a rock. Like I would just sit there.
Oh yeah, that's
and
where
be like,
you and I
well,
are very similar. Everybody thinks we're way smarter than we really are, but in all actuality, it's just the fact that we look at things so objectively that we can just break things down in an instant. It's like,
yeah,
oh yeah, I can break down that entire situation in like 2 minutes. Like I'll listen, like people come to me at advice about like relationships or friendships and shit, and I'm just like, oh yeah, just he's coming from this situation, you're coming from this situation. This is so simple to understand. I don't know why you can't do that.
yeah,
Like it, and like people like regard that as like a massive sign of intelligence, and I'm like, I can't do fucking geometry. All right,
yeah,
like
yeah, same.
geometry is so goddamn complicated. Just tell me the fucking shapes. Oh my god.
Who cares? I get that it's like used for construction, okay, but I'm not gonna be a bloody carpenter, now am I?
No,
I'm a philosopher.
Like I'm really good at writing, and I like music a lot, and I like movies and TV shows and video games. Like I'm really into the writing and the creative aspects of that shit. I can't do math. I can't do science. I like some sciences I'm all right at, but if you start throwing math into the science, then you lost me. All right, like geology, I can do geology if you need me to do like rocks and shit.
That's cool.
But like chemistry, like
oh god,
I can't.
I can do
Not
chemistry.
for the
I
life
just
of me.
hate chemistry. Chemistry,
I can't. No, any
chemistry, to me.
chemistry, calculus, anything with math, I'm like,
Okay,
bro,
so
I'm good.
I think a big part, and I think what next episode should be dedicated to is talking about education, because education is awful in this country. But I think a bigger thing that I've discovered, okay, as somebody who has done his own research on quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and I've done all that stuff. I researched everything that I possibly can because I love like space and I love like quantum fields and stuff like that, and I love all that stuff. I'm a sci-fi writer, so I have to know all that stuff. So I've done all that research. I've read papers and studies and watched documentaries, and I've done all this stuff.
Sees Back to the Future once.
No, like legit.
I know,
Back to the Future was gay. All right, we're just gonna put that out.
Hey,
I do not like back. I mean, I like the first one. The later ones are kind of bad.
Back to the Future 3 was cool. I liked Back to the Future 3 because of the cowboys. That was it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I really like cowboy movies. That's really
so, yes, cowboys are the greatest. Yeah. So as somebody who has done his own research on like the bleeding edge in scientific development, okay, that stuff easier than chemistry, 100%. Just put it out there. Now, it might have been because my chemistry teacher was literally missing every other day of the year because she was leaving the school at the time, and like I refused to memorize anything that she gave us. That out of principle, by the way, I chose to do that. And I
Jesus
got
Christ.
77 on both of my exams that year, chemistry.
Nice.
As a 4.0 average, straight A student, got C's on my on my exams because. So I remember this in particular, right? She handed us this paper of like the special like elements and like compounds you have to memorize for like I forget what they're called. I don't even care enough to remember what they're called. It's like list of like a bajillion, like, like a dozen like compounds we had to memorize because they're like special cases in chemistry. And she
Mhm.
handed us a list, and I turned to George, who's a friend of ours. I turned to him and I go, "I'm not going to memorize any of these." And he goes, "But we're going to get tested on them." And I go, "I don't care. I don't want to. I'm not going to do it." And I didn't, and I failed that test. I got like a 20% on that test. So you know what?
Jesus.
I reap what I sow because chemistry is dumb. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like I know I understand some of it and I can do some of it, but it's a lot of work for not a lot of stuff. You know, like it's
Yeah.
you put in so much work. Like
Like
physics,
actual chemical components.
yes, like physics. You like if you know, like you get a word problem in physics and you know what it's talking about because it's real life. Chemistry,
Yeah.
you have no idea what it's talking about. You're like, what is this
Chemistry
massive word?
seems like fucking magic. It seems like
Yes, it's
magic.
alchemy.
It's
It's
like
alchemy.
it's literally alchemy, which is the funniest part about it. Because it's like it feels like it should make sense. Like
But
the
it
entire
doesn't.
time, huh?
Yeah, you're just like,
It
it makes you know like you take this long word and it makes me this long word and it makes a newer longer word and I'm like I don't how do I even pronounce that? What do you what do you want from
See,
me?
I remember going through chemistry like my sophomore year, and I had a really great chemistry teacher because she was just like, I'm not going to teach you any of the useless information. I'm just going to teach you what you need to know to get a good grade in this class. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I can deal with that. And I remember I was like one of the few kids that would keep asking questions in the class because I just desperately wanted to understand. Because every time I'd be like, what does this mean? Because I had
Yeah,
no
yeah.
idea what was happening at certain points. And I'm just like, so w- what is a significant figure?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. What does that mean?
Well, that's one of the buffs about being Dakota, being smart, is that in chemistry, the one class, by the way, that in all my academic career that I actually ever struggled with genuinely is like, you know, algebra in middle school because I refused to memorize the times tables, which is I think this is a pattern. I refused to memorize my times tables. Yes, that's a real thing that I did.
That's
It
like
took
necessary.
it took till fourth grade. I think it was 2 or 3 years. I managed to put it off. All right, out of sheer
That's
spite, I
that's
did that.
impressive.
Out of
That's
sheer
impressive.
spite. To this day, I have to still do it in my head. So screw you. I do physics in my head.
honestly impressive.
All right, like literally, I can do physics in my head, but I still have to multiply like 5 times 6. Think about that for a second. I have to do that. I still don't know that, like. I go to like, oh, what's 5? You know, like what's 5? Like
No,
what's
that's
like
30.
6 times?
Oh God, I don't know what six
Like
times 5 is.
30. It's 30. But like like I'll go like somebody be like, oh, it's 8 times 7. They'll be like 56, and I'll be like, 56.
Yeah,
And they'll
I'm
be
not
like,
good with
oh,
math.
if you take the
I
a
bro,
car
I
weighing
still
this much
add with my
weight,
fingers. I still add with my fingers.
uh,
I'm that bad. I still add with my fingers whenever I'm like struggling with a math problem. Like I remember I did that one time in algebra 2, and then just one of the people like next to me goes like, "Are you counting with your fingers?" I'm like, "Shut up!" And
yeah,
I just kept doing it because I was like, I can't help it. Like I'm
yeah.
so stuck in this because that's the only way I can break it down.
And that's the same
And
with me, like chemistry. Like me being in all the smart classes, with all the smart kids. When I didn't do chemistry, and I was just like, I don't care enough to learn all this nonsense about nothing. I had people there who would just like help me, and like so they would ask the questions for me, and like so the teacher thought I was like one of the smartest ones in her class. Unfortunately for her, I also never stopped talking because I never paid attention because I didn't care. So I would just talk the entire time. And literally every day I would be on the floor crying laughing in the middle of class. And people would just be like, Dakota, are you okay? And I could not respond. I was crying too hard. So that's how my chemistry sophomore year class was. Because the people in that class mixed with me, it's bad juju. That's what that is.
bad juju.
Bad
I'm
juju.
Jesus Christ. No, my chemistry class was all right. My entire chemistry class called me 6ix9ine though, so that wasn't fun. I hate
Kashi over
explaining
here.
that story, but I might as well for the people that don't know. I've had a long list of bad nicknames in high school.
I've had a couple.
Um, my you want to know what my freshman year nickname was?
Sure.
Deepthroat.
Oh yeah. Yep, I remember that. Now that rings a couple bells in my noggin. Oh
Yeah,
boy.
that is unironically like I didn't hate the nickname because I really didn't give a shit. I still don't. But it was really awkward whenever I was in the hallway and
Yeah,
then
the
my
teacher would be
friend
like, "What?"
yeah,
Like, don't
and
question
then
it.
my
Don't
friend
question it.
would just be like, "Hey yo, deep throat." And then I would turn my head. I'm like, "Yeah, it was good." And then it's just like,
Oh.
"Pardon, sir?
Yeah.
What is happening?"
What was
So
that, sir?
quick explanation for the people out there why my nickname was Deep Throat. If you couldn't tell, my voice is kind of deep when I really want it to be, and I can talk really normal, or I can talk kind of
Yes.
higher pitched depending on what I want. Shut the fuck up, Dakota. But my especially freshman year, I was like really monotone and
It
like
was a bass
really
drum, my
basic.
guy. I was scared the
Yeah,
first
I
day of that.
was very monotone because I was always tired and just didn't want to be there at school. So I would just like always be super monotone. And then this friend of mine named John, I'm not gonna say his last name so he doesn't get doxxed, but who cares? But John,
He
he
lives
gave me
here, and
he lives at this address
yeah,
in this town. But he gave me the nickname Deep Throat because my voice was so bassy and he thought it was so funny. And
it is
just
pretty
people would
funny.
call me Deep Throat. And then
I mean,
after
he's
that,
correct.
huh?
It is pretty funny.
It was funny for a little bit, and then he just kept calling me it for the rest of the year, and I was like, I'll probably disappear by next year. It didn't. It still follows me, but he's the only person that still calls me that though, which is kind of funny.
Well, you know
But
my classic nickname, don't you?
what was it again?
Little gay.
You've never told me that it was
I
Little
never.
Gay.
I don't know Little Gay. Oh my god.
No, you
Okay.
never told me about Little
So
Gay.
Little Gay is my rapper persona.
Oh god.
Yeah. So the story. Okay. I've had a few nicknames. My freshman year one, I honestly forget. But Lil Gay was also one of them. That's when it originated. Um,
You see, it would be better if it was just Little D.
no, no, it was a Lil Gay. And then my friend is Big Straight, and we're a rapper duo.
Nice. The a very progressive homosexual rap group. I like it.
Yeah.
Call that Brockhampton. It's nice.
But yeah. So, and I honestly forget the story behind that. I'm pretty sure it was just because like, oh no, what was my? I had another nickname that like the band kids, but I forget what it was. I had another rapper name freshman year that Kyle gave to me, and I forgot what it
Oh God,
was.
Kyle the legend.
I'll miss him.
You think we should? Well, that squeak was loud. You think we should send him the podcast and see if he ever listens to it, and then he'll just never respond to us until 3 years later.
I
And be
think
like,
if we
cool
sent it to
podcast.
him, he would find my house and then like take my iPad and break it over my head out of sheer principle. Being like, well, I feel like you need this right now, and just crack, and then that's it. Darkness for me, comatose permanently.
Jesus Christ. Probably though.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be
Little Gay
excited
was
to see
like,
Kyle. I'd be excited to see Kyle again because I think I'm about as tall as him now. I'm like 6'3" and 250 pounds. So I'm like, how tall is Kyle again? Is he like 6'4"?
I think so, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably look like Kyle now. I think I'm less heavier than him, but he might have lost weight. I don't remember.
Black Kyle.
Blyle.
Belial. Oh God.
I like Blyle.
Yeah.
Blyle's good.
First there was Deepthroat, now there's only Belial.
Oh God, my sophomore year nickname, I hated it because wasn't even funny. Because my chemistry class was like my last period class, and then right before I had gym. So every time we would be changing in the locker room, they would just start coming up with new nicknames for me, and I'm just like, God, I crave death. One of them was Maddie B because they called me like Maddie B Raps, and I'm like, I hate all of you. I hate all of you so much. And then the other one was 6ix9ine,
Yes.
because at the time 6ix9ine was really popular, and I hated his music. I still think a lot of his music is bad. He's got some good songs, but most of his music is dog shit. But at the time, I what had happened was, so context, I had a wallpaper on my iPad that was the number 69. Now there's a reason for this. There's uh two reasons. For a while in my life, I thought the number 69 was the most hilarious thing to me, and I have an entire folder dedicated on my phone to
I've seen
pictures
this. I've
of
seen
the
this
number
folder. Yep.
69. But it's specific because it's 69 pictures of the number 69.
Yes, I've
So
seen.
I recruited like some of my friends from like 7th and 8th grade that are like some of my best friends that I have for life. One of them being Aiden, who's the guy who made the logo for this podcast. Shout out to Aiden.
Oh,
At a
he was a cool
board
dude.
a it's hold on, I'm trying to remember his Instagram at, which is a board artist, but it's ABO. I'm not good at words. ABOARD_artist, who made the logo for this podcast. So shout out to him
I have a
and a
fun
couple of
story
my other
about him.
friends.
He has some. I mean,
We,
it's the same aim we're thinking about, right? I'm hoping.
you can you can like DM me like after the podcast, and we can
Gotcha.
like bring up the
Gotcha.
story if it's the same Aiden. But
I hope so. Otherwise, it's gonna be horribly awkward.
it
But
might be.
I mean,
But yeah,
yeah.
so I recruited him and like a couple of other friends to like help me with this journey that I went on, which I think took me like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's from like February 28th and like 20 like it was February 28th, I think, in 2017 to like mid to late 2018. So it was like a year and a half that it took
Nice.
me to get 69 pictures of 69. Now, the story of why my background was 69 was because I was playing an app game in class, and then one of those ads popped up that are just like an even shittier, smaller app game. And then by pure coincidence, I played the shitty small app game, and the final score I got was the number 69.
Nice.
And I was laughing my ass off because the game was like church themed, like it was like one of those like like pick your like find the hidden object games.
Oh yeah.
And so it bathed the 69, which was in gold lettering, in holy light, and I was dying from it. So I made it my background, so every time I opened my iPad, I would see it and like chuckle to myself. And so I was in this was literally the first day of chemistry class sophomore year. I opened my iPad, and then the kid behind me, whose name was Josh, was like, "Yo, was that the number 69?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "All right, 6ix9ine, I see you." And I'm like, "Oh God, please don't let this stick." And then everybody's like, "What? 6ix9ine?" And they're like, "Yeah, this kid's 6ix9ine now." And I'm like, "God damn it. God fucking damn it." And then I just became
Nice.
6ix9ine for the rest of that year. It was awful. Hated it.
If I remembered my freshman year nickname,
Oh God.
the one that was given to me by an old friend of ours.
Oh,
The rapper
Lord and
name,
Savior.
and this is my first ever rapper name. Okay, and it was Dakota North, and that was because obviously I'm named. Well, not named after this state, but there are states with that share my name. They robbed
Oh
me,
my God.
and Kyle was like, "Ah, what if we just like swapped them around?" Rapper name, and yeah,
That's
and then
actually not that's not that bad. That's
it's not
pretty
that
good.
bad. And then it moved on to Little Gay, and then
Mm-hmm.
some people call me Dax now. I don't know why.
That's a rapper. There's a rapper named Dax. That's probably
There
why.
is. Oh, that's awful.
He's not
Dang
that
it.
bad, but the name's pretty shitty.
Yeah, pretty bad. I haven't had many nicknames because like my name is already unique.
Yeah, it's so
So
distinctive.
yeah, it's just like a memorable name. Although again, I've only ever met dogs with my name, so
Yeah, I remember I had a nickname for this junior year, but I don't think it stuck out to me. I had a nickname, but it just like it didn't stick out in my head. It was something probably shitty that like one of my one of my friends Xavier called me, and I just hated it. I probably just blinked it out of my memory.
Probably.
But shout out to Xavier. He's not gonna listen to this. He doesn't. I haven't talked to him in like 3 months. He asked me for the homework once during quarantine, and then I haven't heard from him since.
I feel that. I feel that.
Still shout out to him. Good man. Good man.
Let's see.
A respectable gent.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Again, like my name already unique enough. I haven't had many nicknames. And I have had nicknames, they usually have been like just stupid and
Yeah.
often nonsensical.
Yeah.
But some of them, like Lil Gay, have stuck with me to the point where so Lil Gay was a nickname and like a running inside joke between one of my best friends and mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually Katie caught on to it.
Oh god.
And my good friend Gabriel, not band Gabe, another Gabe.
Aw.
Although band Gabe's also like an OG. I love band Gabe. Band Gabe's
I know. I saw him like a week and a half ago. Yeah, he's doing good. He looks like every other Filipino now, which is a shame. He grew he grew a shitty bandito mustache.
Oh god, of course. Oh, the worst.
Oh, it's so good. I love it.
Yeah. So my Gabe. I take position over him because he's like my boyfriend basically. It's a whole other running joke is that we're dating.
Oh yeah, I have that with a couple people. I have a
He
husband.
he kissed me during prom. Actually,
Nice.
I have photos of that too. Anyway, so that was a running joke, and Gabe and Katie were of course both for the play for the school. Now, Gabe was stage crew, which means he did nothing but talk all day, and Katie was of course like an actress in the play, and eventually the head of the drama department and everybody else involved in the drama department and the play found out about my nickname of Lil Gay. So I would be in English class with people who okay, in English class, my AP English class senior year was taught by a doctor, of course. You have to be to teach certain classes. Doctor,
yes,
very you know who I'm talking about. Very good guy.
Yeah.
I love him to death. He's great.
We ruined his room a couple of times, but
those are different stories for different day. But boy, are they good stories. Boy, are they good stories.
We will never mention that Nerf gun again.
I never saw it. He never brought it out. It's quarantine. Oh, I should have mentioned to him. I'm gonna email him one day.
Don't email him. Email him like 3 years from now about it.
But yeah, so very stoic, very serious guy. Well, so you think. He appears to be very stoic, very serious. Very cool, but very, very stoic, very serious. Very academic, very intelligent, very, very good writer. Like super, super better than me. A mile and a half. Anyway, yeah. So we would just be in class, right before like the bell rang, whatever, sitting down in his like very informal, carpeted, round table joint room that we may have destroyed a couple times. But it's fine.
Modern physics, baby.
Modern physics. Oh god, good times. So I just be in class before the bell rang, and I was sitting down. And people would walk in and be like, "Ah, something Little Gay," and I could just feel the teacher's head turn and look at me because, of course, he knows I'm an author. He knows I'm a writer. I'm his prized student, right? I've come to him for writing advice and stuff, and he's helped me personally. He's edited some of my stuff, my essays, and so he knows me, right? He knows what I'm about. He wrote me like recommendation letters, all that stuff. So he knows me personally. And like he walk in and call me this, and I could just feel the twinge in the back of the room from his desk, being like, "What was that?"
Yeah, that's when like nicknames. That's when nicknames get like out of control and like lose their fun. Is like when people like that are outside of the joke like try to get inside of it and then just bring it up all the time. It's just like, yeah, this isn't as funny anymore.
Yeah,
like
so, I mean, like
with,
I was like, well.
Like I remember with Deepthroat, people would call me that I didn't even know, and I'd be like, "Stop! Like,
I have
stay
that
the fuck
problem
away from
all
me.
the time. People call me my actual name all the time. Like I would just be in the
Yeah,
hallway, people like, "Hey Dakota," and I'm like, "Oh, sup?" And then like, people like, "Do you know that person?" I'd be like, "No." And just
yeah,
all the time, people, because my name is memorable, so people talk to me
yeah,
once and they remember who I am. So
yeah.
sure, I never go to
That's the
parties, but everyone knows
yeah.
who I am. I'm just well, I'm prolific. People know
Yeah,
me,
with
just don't
like
know of me, I
with
guess.
with
Better.
Deepthroat, it was because my freshman year religion with the father of our school,
Oh
not the
God,
the white one, the other one.
Filipino,
Uh,
the
yeah,
marginally worse one.
Tech,
The worst teacher,
tech,
better person. I
yeah.
reckon.
But that was like a joke inside of that class. Was just like everybody would call me Deep Throat because like I sat in the back of the class and I hung out with like all the shitty like kids that didn't do any of their work, and I would give them my
Yeah.
homework. And so it was just like a fun little joke, and I'm like, haha, yeah, Deep Throat, this is okay. And like in this classroom or in the hallway, sure, call me that. But then I'd get like called in the hallway by people I didn't even know, and I'd be like, yeah, it was good. And then I'm just like, I didn't even know who the fuck you were. Don't call me Deep Throat. Like you
Yeah,
can't
like
do
it's
that.
not it's not like
It
the
doesn't
joke's
have the
not
same
there.
impact.
Yeah.
It's like you weren't there when it was founded. You don't know why. You just saying it because you think it's funny. It's like
Yes.
cease.
You're literally just like bandwagoning on top of somebody else's joke, you
Hey,
know?
yo, bandwagon off my Deep Throat.
Yeah. Yeah, and like no little gay thing. It got so bad, okay, that the head of the drama department who yells a lot and
Yeah,
white.
I had
Uh,
him as a teacher. I'm
oh
aware.
yeah, I remember. He knew me only by that name.
Oh,
So I will be I was in the hallway and walking behind him, and he turned around and saw me and was like, "Oh, stop, little gay." And my blood ran cold immediately. It was instant. My fight or flight went off. I was just like, "Oh no, what's happening?" Oh, this is the worst. He's like, "So I hear,
that's why
that's
you
your
can't be
nickname."
associated with the theater department, buddy.
Yeah, and I'm like,
You
"Oh,
never. This is advice for everybody out there. Don't associate with theater kids.
avoid the drama department. I am dating one of
Drama.
them. Avoid them. Avoid them.
I'm
Avoid."
friends with some of the people in there. Avoid it.
I'm dating one of like the more normal members, adjacent members. But
Objectively more normal.
yes, but the people who are really into it, avoid.
Scare me.
Also avoid the super like go. I mean, this is probably isn't gonna be super relatable to people who go to like a public school, but like the retreat team kids, for the most part, avoid. Just
Some of the retreat team
some of
kids
them
are cool
good.
at
Some
our
of them
school.
some of them are cool.
Our retreat team is cool. The retreat team is cool at our school, but
Some
at
of them
every
are
other
cool.
school, I hear about them and I look at them and I'm like, these
Seriously,
motherfuckers are weird.
yeah, even like cause like people don't realize that like churches hold retreats separate from like schools, which is also suspicious as hell. Just
Yeah.
saying, I would never. I had for my what's it called, confirmation. I had to. They're like, oh, you have to go on like a weekend retreat in the basement of my old middle school, and literally, my family and I forged a doctor's note to get me out of it because I was like, if they make me do this, I will kill the priest. I'll just do it because one, boy, do I hate religion. That's a topic of another day, but boy, do I hate it. And two, right? It's no, just no, never, never, ever. Not me, not my kids, not my grandkids, because my family has a very bad history of abuse and stuff like that by priests and by other people. So no, never, ever, not in a million years, ever, never, no. So like there are retreat teams that go regularly and belong to like the normal church retreats. They gotta be
No.
they had to be crazy. Like
Yeah.
I used to go like a Sunday school when I was younger. Those people were crazy.
Yeah. It's most people that are dedicated to one specific thing, because like the people that are dedicated to those church retreats are like the same people that are dedicated to like going to Comic-Con every year. Like they're the same breed of people, just like different strokes for different folks. Is what it
Yeah. The Comic Con
But
people, the Comic Con nerds are also
like
weird.
yeah,
They smell bad too.
masturbating onto pillows.
God.
You think they masturbate into Jesus pillows at Sunday school retreats?
I mean, if it was a cult somewhere who does it, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be surprised. To be
In Jim
perfectly
Jones
honest.
cult.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of Kool-Aid, it was just jerking off into pillows. God, this podcast has gone down the rails, and it's only like
It's
the second episode.
yes. You've already hit that hump of like,
Yeah, we have
question.
nothing to talk about.
Yeah. It's already gone into absurdity from here on.
Yeah, and this is like supposed to be the first like official episode, and the last one was a test one. And this one's awful. We've bounced around on so many topics. It's almost like Joe Rogan, but worse. Except we don't have any interesting guests.
We get Elon Musk on our podcast.
Oh my god, can we get Elon Musk to try crack on our podcast?
Can we?
Because like the stone is the crack, bro. It's crack.
No, I want to get. I want to get
the stick
like.
is the pipe.
I want to like Leiden on the. How he would react.
Leiden isn't gonna speak for the entire time. It's gonna be 45 minutes of nothing. I love Leiden to death, but he's not gonna say anything.
I know, but I don't care. I'll post that episode.
You just want him here to make fun of him. That's all you want him here for.
Well, also because like me and him, he has some stories, and he has a ton of stories, and he's just insane.
Oh yeah,
he's just.
I mean, I have the story of when I drop kicked Band Gabe in a garbage can.
That was also pretty. Bang Gabe. I want to have him on here. I want Bang Gabe.
Brandon would be hilarious.
Oh,
can we get Brandon? Do you have Brandon's phone number, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to him. I'm gonna get him on here.
Yeah,
because me and him will go at it all day.
Him and I will go at it all day. He hates my guts, but I love him to death.
We're just gonna. Oh yes, it's gonna be a podcast just screaming constantly. It's gonna be ear rape the entire. It's gonna be like.
I would love that.
Oh.
Text Brandon to see if you could get him on the podcast for next episode. That would be very enjoyable. I would love that.
I swear to God, I'm gonna hit record and I'm just gonna say, I'll make any statement. I'll just be like, pet rocks should require licenses. And have and should abide by animal abuse laws. And I'll be like, what?
Well, no, listen here, man.
And then and then we'll have an argument, a 2-hour-long argument around why we should or should not have animal rights laws for pet rock. I'm telling you, it's happened, literally.
Well, Brandon and I have gotten into physical altercations before, so it's gonna be even more entertaining to have a vocal one. Because I'm probably just gonna end up shoving the mic down my throat and screaming because I don't want to hear him talk. I would love that.
It's like, stop talking.
I mean, yeah, for everybody at home who doesn't know, I'm hoping to get guests on the podcast a bit more frequently to talk about
I want to get
stuff.
I'll get Dan on here. Yeah.
Oh God, Dan would be AIDS.
Well, Dan's one of those people that got to get him on when he's he'll be the guy you can invite on. He'll smoke crack with you. He's
We'll bring him in for the Elon Musk episode. We'll bring him in for that.
Yeah.
He'll be like the Joey Diaz to our Joe Rogan.
Yes. Exactly.
Who else? I would love to bring Pasamba on here. Pasamba would be great.
Pasamba's like a music.
Well, yeah, so am I. I fucking love music. We could do a music review, whatever.
I'm not
shit.
that big into your I'm a music guy. Obviously, I'm a musician. Although, unfortunately, I had to give away Barry.
Really? No.
This will be okay. So, for those of you at home who do not know, I am a musician, as is, of course, my co-host, whose name is unknown. Deepthroat. No.
I literally said my name last podcast.
Yeah, it's fine. The running joke is going to be maintained now. So we are both musicians. And yeah, so I play.
I'm a bit more involved in recreational music than Dakota is.
Well, you're more. Yeah, you're more making music and hip hop and rap and
making my own original music rather than Dakota, which Pasamba and I are working on something. Shout outs, but
like a theme song, nerds.
Huh?
A theme song for us. It'd be pretty funny.
I could definitely get us some music. Pasamba's way better at making things than I am because I'm trash, but I could definitely get us some stuff.
So I used to play baritone saxophone. My band. For those who don't know, it's a 3.5 foot tall brass horn That's super super sexy. I love the baritone. I mean, it's super unwieldy. It
Hot.
weighs like 20 pounds, but it's super. Love.
Careless Whisper has never slapped harder.
I can't still play that because my alto is still here, my alto sax. But I hate how the alto sounds because it's like a dying seal.
Yeah.
Not because I can't play, it's because it's a high pitched instrument. Barry sounds like a mean, rough jazz instrument, and I love it. And of course, I had to use the schools because to buy one is like $5,000 or more dollars, and like professional ones like 10,000 or higher. So I can't afford to buy one. So I did have to give mine up. So now I listen to sax music and I'm like, and I cry a little bit. I'm like, well, cause like I get inspired. You're like, I want to play. Then I'm like, but I can't. I'd rock out if I could, but unfortunately, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
College stuff.
That's why you gotta go with digital production, buddy. It's way cheaper.
Yeah, but also digital saxophones sound like AIDS.
Depends. You still haven't listened to you've never listened to Mac Miller, right?
I don't think so.
Nah, if you listen to his because unfortunately Mac Miller has passed away, but his most recent album, his posthumous album, which was one that he was almost done with before he died, has a couple of like digital synth saxophones that actually sound really good on there. You can do it, but it's just like you have to do it well.
Yeah. Certain I will admit some synth sax used properly can be really good.
I mean, isn't the Mos Eisley Cantina song like using a synth saxophone or some shit?
Yeah, it has some really weird instruments, like not like Asian and like weird African instruments. Yeah, and like synth sax can be good if you use it properly. But like my biggest thing is being a sax player, having done it for like 8 years. Not that I'm professional, although I have been invited to play at clubs. No, not
Subtle flex.
Yeah, not to brag or anything, but like just to kind of validate myself. So I'm like, my words have meaning to them. I'm not just like
shut up. You
nonsense.
Just wanted the humble brag. Stop being a dick.
But so I don't think I'm actually that good. I can't improv for my life, and I can't write music because I don't like music theory. It's too complicated for it just sounds. But so having and like playing the instrument, I recognize that like a massive part of I feel like wind instruments in general is like the way that like each individual person makes a different sound because they all hold their mouth like a different way, and like all breathe a different way and blow a different way, all this different stuff. So like synthetic and like digital, it can sound good, but you can't get the same nuances that you can.
True.
Like drawback.
You can find like workarounds with like that whole nuance thing by like using different like vocal effects and plugins and shit, and like layering shit was like something that's really difficult to do with like real music, quote unquote, which is like real life instruments. Like layering is a lot harder to do because you'll need like 20 different people doing the same note, like in the same note pattern. But you can do it a lot easier where you can just have one person just play the same pattern over and over again, but in different keys and scales and shit, and then layer it together, and it sounds like really, really good. But
like using real instruments and then digitally improving it is the peak of like musical because like back in the day, if you wanted to get a good song, you had to hire a whole symphony. Or a whole band. Now you can be one person and have like different instruments and like compose your own music and make a living off. That is like good. That's the good stuff, right?
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that like modern music does that you couldn't really do like even like 20 years ago. Well, not 20 years ago, like 30 years ago now. If I'm talking about the 90s, with digital music production, like sample chopping and shit that like you hear a lot in like modern music, and like reworking it. That's something you really can only do nowadays. Like you're not gonna have somebody in the 1800s sampling Beethoven.
Like just take this chorus real quick.
Just Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart sampling like fucking Beethoven. It's like, wait a minute, this man just stole my whole flow.
Yeah. That's my rhythm. Hold up.
Wait a minute. I recognize that timpani roll. I recognize that.
That violin screech is mine.
This
Yeah.
man just jacked my whole flow.
Like getting Pasamba here, we turn it into Pasamba or George. We turn this into a music talk, and getting like
Yeah.
Gabe on here, we turn this into just the worst. He would just be chaos incarnate.
Hey, so true, but still, if we want to have an episode centered around that,
Yeah, you love Gabe. Not gonna like he's my guy.
I'd have Samba on. Ariana would be a very interesting guest to have on if she would ever stop feeling sick and show up to recording sessions. That would be wonderful to have her on, but that'll never happen.
I have some fun stories about our interactions previous times. Oh, and it makes my GAL very awkward for me. Probably not so much for her, but very awkward for me.
Good.
But that's a conversation that will require running past privately before making it public, just because
that's the energy I need.
Expose him.
Energy, that's what I need. We're gonna make this an entertainment empire.
But yeah, that story and my friendship with her has been rocky at best, and
good.
It's been horribly awkward.
I have a couple of stories about my and Ari's relationship as well. Ours is very odd, but we're very good friends.
But you two have like very equally sarcastic like energy. It's like me and Brandon. You're just bound to clash because you're just too similar.
You and Brandon is like irony. Ours is like sarcasm.
Well, me and Brandon is just like we just get each other like riled up for literally no reason over absolutely nothing all the time.
Yeah.
Even if it's like
90%
I will purposely
of the conversation.
Be wrong. I will argue an incorrect point and lie through my teeth to make him angry, and it's so funny. He hates it, but I find it hilarious.
Ari and I is mainly just me making fun of her because she's not. That's it. It's literally she'll just say some dumb shit, and I'll just be like, "Are you fucking stupid?"
Yeah, you're not gonna. Yeah, that's yeah. That's how
That's most of the conversations I have with anybody. Really,
yeah.
It's
Same.
just I'll listen to them for like 5 minutes, and I'm just like, "Do you have brain damage, buddy?"
Are you special? Is that what's wrong with you today? Huh?
Listen. I go to the disability classes, and you need to be in there with me, buddy. Like, come on, what was that?
Oh God.
I got to use that roast more often, but I can't because we don't have school. We're probably never gonna have school again.
Probably. I mean, at this rate, honestly.
Hopefully.
Yes, because online classes are easy.
They're easy, but they demotivate the fuck out of me.
Well, so does normal school. It's just
pick
your poison.
Normal school, I had to get up out of bed and do things. Now it's just I roll over to the left side of my bed and click. All right, I signed in, and then go back to sleep.
So good about it. Good because okay, this is why I'm a huge nerd. All right, so back during online classes, right, I would sign in, I would do the 10 minutes of work that I got. My teacher would say, "Good job, Dakota. I love you so much. I'm your favorite student ever." And then whatever, and then I would like write the rest of the class period because it's all I do for a living. So like my job. I'm like, well, I'm bored out of my mind, stuck at home alone with my 3 dogs. And no family or anybody else. I might as well just like write. That's what I did, and I got a lot of writing done.
Yeah, congrats to you. You were fucking productive. I just slept.
The only time I was productive when.
Huh?
I took naps. The problem is like when I take a nap, I'm a very heavy sleeper, so I would slept through the first 2 periods of the day before, and it's like waking up like 10 o'clock, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Bad news.
That happened to me quite a few times. There would be like a Zoom call that was scheduled, and I'd roll over, and I'd be like, "Missed it? Oh shit, back to sleep," and then just go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Online. I guess the different strokes for different folks. Again, online school sucked ass for me. I guess it worked out for you. I was just like, I wanted death every morning.
There are still certain subjects that I liked in, like English, for example, because you figure reading. And you're like, okay, this is like, and this is a generalization, but as somebody who, has interacted with like professors and has interacted with writers and doctors and teachers for. Most people, if they're a writer, if they're interested in reading and writing, they have their own like study in their house, you know.
Mhm.
So for them, teaching about English and writing and stuff and reading online is cool because they can be surrounded by books and they have they're in the atmosphere. Me, I'm in my
Yeah.
bloody living room, at my desk, like this thing's special. Like I want to have a book in front of me. I want to be able to hear somebody read and like have emotion in their voice because if I read, it's like a computer voice, essentially.
And then he walks to the bar.
Yeah, I hate reading out loud because I have a stuttering problem and also because like I absolutely I read too fast and my voice is awful and I stutter and stuff like that. In having like English class, besides the fact that like the teacher and the kids were super fun on the class, super chill. But yeah, I miss that. Everything else, like psychology, could totally be done online. Not need to be done in person at all. Like no offense, psychology. I love the subject, but it does not need to be full thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are definitely topics that are just like, oh yeah, this is just too easy to like do in person and it's just a waste of time. But for me it was always just I would like go into the class and then like it's the weird process of waking up in the morning and going out to do things that would motivate me to actually like succeed and want to do other things. It was like, oh yeah, I like did well on my fucking English exam. Wow, that was so great. But now that I'm like online schooling, it's like I did that in 5 minutes. I just want to go back to sleep. I don't want to be here. And then I wouldn't have the motivation to do anything else for the day because I would just be like, there's no challenge to life anymore. I would just wake up and just exist. And I was like, I hate this. I mean, that's part of the reason why I started doing this with you. It was just like, oh, great. Now I have like something challenging and interesting to do. Like, I fucking hate editing, but god damn it, it was at least a challenge that was like required energy and wasn't me doing shitty algebra problems. Like, I did
Yeah,
something.
like it's just like it's yeah. This isn't like school stuff like that. We'll talk about in a different episode. But like the big thing is like difference between learning something and like learning something or like doing
There's a
something.
difference between learning and educating.
Yes. Like you have to be interested in what you're learning to actually absorb the information and like
And be
be able
educated
to
about
use
it,
it.
yeah.
And like be able to like use it again later
Yeah,
on. You're not in school.
because I know a lot of people who are very good at schoolwork, my girlfriend included, but are not that smart. I love my girlfriend to death. She
Victoria
she
is
is not
the good person, but she is not the smartest knife in the drawer.
sharpest dipshit.
Not the smartest knife in the cupboard. Not the
Not the
sharpest
smartest
tool
knife
in.
in the living room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I love her to death, and she's not an idiot by any means.
She's
She's
not.
not
No.
stupid. She's not as stupid as some other people I've met in my life.
Oh,
But
there's always somebody dumber.
yeah, she's
Always.
very capable, very intelligent. Love her to death. But she is very good at schoolwork, and she's going to
Yeah.
UConn, which is a wonderful college, and I love her, and congrats to her still. But
Nerd.
shut up. But she's very good at schoolwork, and she's very capable. But there are so many times where she'll say something, and I'm like, "You didn't just say that, right?"
Yeah, it's like
I
well,
I rem-
she's book smart,
here's
but
a here's a quick
she's
little
not like
story.
wise. No.
Here's a quick little story. She didn't realize that painkillers numbed your whole body and didn't just eliminate your headache.
But
And you know what she would do when she would take painkillers?
what?
She would go to Dunkin' Donuts and drink coffee.
Why?
Yep. That's the love of my life. I love her to death. But she's probably gonna kill me.
Like, yeah,
You can't even
sometimes.
use words.
Well, try to be okay. This is the thing, right? I'm not a nice person. I'll admit that.
Neither am I.
I'm a very blunt, brutal, honest person. I don't care about people's feelings. So I'm trying to be nice when I say these things about her because so like she's
I've
not.
said all these things to her face, and I love her to death. She knows I love her to death, and any mean thing I say about her is exaggerated to a great extent. But because I exaggerate 90% of the things I say when comes to being mean. I mean, I told my friend like literally yesterday I was gonna circumcise him with a lawnmower. So,
Well,
so
the thing
yeah,
is, like, you say that you joke. When I say that, I mean it usually. Like, my
yeah,
threats are usually legit.
yeah.
Mostly
Most
because
of
I'm
the
a
shit I say
psychopath,
is
but
horribly exaggerated, and it's just an expression of my confusion and anger. So whenever I'm like horribly confused by something stupid she says, I will make some generic insult and be like, "Are you kidding me? Are you a garbanzo bean? What is this?"
yeah, like,
And
she's just. And I guess an airhead is the best way to put it, but, like,
nah.
I don't know. Like,
I'm saying this now, Victoria. I don't agree with him. Please don't leave me.
I don't, cause
Continue.
I don't know how to describe it. It's just, it's very specific, book smart. Not even everything, because the painkiller thing is an example of that. Like, she's not
She's not good
totally.
at life, but she's good at books.
Well, she's good at schoolwork. Like I said, she's good at she's good at school, not good at like knowledge. She's like she's a good test taker.
She didn't
She
know
can
who
do that
Genghis
stuff.
Khan was.
Oh my! What?
Yeah.
What? Well, to be fair, George didn't know that Germany bordered France, so that was pretty awful. I cried.
Well, geography is very different because like the way history is described, it's like it makes you think that like the Germans marched across like 3,000 countries before they got to France. But
Genghis
in all
Khan is.
actuality, they kind of like walked like 30 minutes and we're like, there they are.
I know who Genghis Khan is.
Yeah.
He led the biggest empire in human history, single-handedly. By the way.
I love her. I love her so much.
Well, I don't. So Tori, you're dumb. There you go.
Yeah,
How
I'm
about
not
that?
agreeing with that
How
at
about
all.
that?
I love you so much. Please don't leave me. You can stop listening if you don't like Dakota. That's okay. But I love you.
Good. I hope he doesn't like me. It's my goal. To be
That's your goal with
infamous
everybody.
and hated by everybody around me. The ultimate goal in life.
Yeah.
Out of
You
spite.
want me to hate you, but we're too similar, so you've eventually just given up on that.
Yeah. Well, I could be
You just
racist,
like,
but that's just kind of that's stooping too low,
yeah. Racism is for idiots.
Calling you gay.
Now that is for the supreme.
That is only the wisest of philosophers. True Aristotelian thought right there.
I feel like that's a good place to end this because we've been here for way too fucking long.
Yeah, I have to eat
Talking
ice
about
cream.
literally nothing. Huh?
Ice cream. 9 o'clock.
You have dedicated time for ice cream? Jesus, you sound like
Yes.
Victoria.
I'm a psychopath. I told you I do things at certain times of day. I have a routine because I have I'm borderline spectrum.
Yeah, I'm just a lazy fuck. I've been meaning to clean my room for like the past 3 weeks and I haven't. So I'm just doing it today.
If you sleep
But,
in your room.
do you know what? I'm not even gonna ask that question because I already know the answer.
Don't.
But yeah, thanks to anybody listening to this podcast. Shout outs to all the people that did listen to this podcast and got this far for some godforsaken reason.
Honestly,
This is the beginning. Yeah, you pretty are, but you pretty much are. But this is the beginning of something god awful, and I can already tell it's gonna be hell for everybody involved. But oh, that was the other person that I wanted to have on. Aaliyah would be fun to have on for a little bit. Yeah. If she even listens to this full thing of the podcast, she'll definitely hear it. But yeah.
Like, what in the hell? Like,
But-
she'll just come in and be like, "You boys are idiots," and we'll be like, "Yeah,
yeah, that's the whole point. You're not shocking us.
I get that. She's really the common sense motherly figure of the group. I'm gonna be like, "You children are idiots." They'll be like, For honors gay."
Hashtag pog you.
Oh god.
But yes, thank you again for listening to this piece of shit. Whatever will happen on the next episode, we'll let you know because we don't do this shit planned. We're just we were supposed to record like 6 hours ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um.
Ooh, boy, I'm a
So
professional.
yeah. Shout out to all you idiots. Don't have a good day.